tight. No randoms, you a little fish, get out of the big river. The big boy musket, I call it a wig splitter. I'm a big shot, little boy, kick rocks. Get shot, I'm a Alfred Hitchcock. This drop when they see the big commas, the big problem, they look at me like big boss. Okay, let her not agree when she give me top. She ain't not sure she gon' come and drop. In the stew, I be chefing inside the pop. It's a movie, wanna pull a bit stunner. They don't know me as the showrunner. They ain't ready for the newcomer. Wanna pull up, get the news running. News flash, they been caught up by the wrist. They don't gotta hide, got it like this. She gon' peel her eyes back when I'm in. She in love with the kid like this, like that, like this, like. Yeah, I see they loving the kid, they marveling when I send them all in a verbal abyss. You heard what I did, a murder, better bury it and better pack a raincoat for your girl. She
I'm just trying to get a couple people shuffled in really quick. People are just slow as per usual, so but once we get people in, I'll go ahead and start here. Here's Zane. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and unmute.
T1's definitely getting spicy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Johnny5, and welcome to the Nodewar podcast. We have the podcast every Friday night at 11:15 EST, or 15 minutes after Nodewars. You have people to talk about Valkyrie. I don't really have anyone SWID. If you want to come in, you're free to welcome to. I have a couple people talking about Caster, but there's like 5 Valks in NA. I'm going to be talking about a lot of the Nodewar stuff first, and then probably talking about Valkyrie and Wizard last. So whenever we get onto that subject matter, if you're still in the chat, Swid, or if you want to join in early, feel free to. Otherwise, if you have any other good, let you know. Okay, cool. But otherwise, we cover PvP. Main focus is on Nodewar, of course, with the recent G-Lab changes. That is going to be the primary topic point for tonight. We really want to make sure that we're getting the feedback that PA is asking for and needing, and we want to make sure that we're happy with these changes, because these fucking changes are huge. Jesus Christ, go to bed, Vils. I did not get much sleep, and I also went drinking earlier because I went out to a steakhouse, so I'm a little bit snazzy, but I got some coffee. But with that, though, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into this. Okay, we're in the right screen.
Okay, when PA decides to implement the raffle system to all the other scenes, we all become New World gamers, right, guys?
No, I am not going back to that game ever. Hello, everyone.
My guild, and we're going to New World.
New World fucking dog shit, too. I never liked that game.
Just play Maple Story.
Play Maple Story.
Maple Story, fuck.
I just realized I'm fucking muted.
I'm kidding.
All right, hello, everyone. You want Maple Story?
No, I'm memeing, bro.
Okay, I was about to be concerned.
I've never touched that shit.
So we have a few more people in here that we haven't had on the podcast before. We have C-Zane on here. Todd's on here. Todd, you came to the Siegecast. Artie's been on here a time or two. Dank's been on here a few times and used to host it himself. Alex hasn't been here in 12 millennia, so she's returned. And Tala's in here to be quiet as always. So a couple more people are going to be shuffling in as we go along.
We love podcasts.
Oh, there you go.
We
Todd.
love the podcast. Are you permanent on that Tuesday one? Or are you just a temp guest last week?
Temp guest.
Okay.
I think I killed it though. Not gonna lie.
I think it was definitely an upgrade from Bald Man Tiltus.
Hey, I was Tiltus. If you saw the intro, I was Tiltus. Just there. That's me. Where's Tiltus, man?
I don't think
Whenever
he's
the
alive anymore. Honestly.
Dude, whenever the podcast would go on, like this Nodewar one, he would always ping me and ask me to be in. And I always told him no.
I always told him no.
Always.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and we have Dank, Artie, and C-Zane, and Todd. I guess actually we have a lot of T2 voices right now. I know Soggy and a couple others going to be joining in. Just kind of before we start this though, while we're talking about the Nodewar changes and stuff and trying to get feedback for PA, I want to keep it non-drama. We can be joking and of course debate it or discuss it or whatever, but just don't be schizo.
APOC lobby.
Yeah, I see him. Thank you. Hello, Ankle.
Hey, what's up?
No, not much. So I'll kind of go over the general things just for those who haven't read it in the stream, along for those who haven't really read it too much in the chat here. So there's huge fucking changes to Nodewars. I'm going to kind of go through them bit by bit. More T1 goods here. Okay, I agree, Dank. So one of the first things that was announced or talked about within the changes is changing the way that we place bases on nodes. So what it sounds like from the patch notes themselves is that it's going to be changing to a raffle-like system where you apply for a node, and depending on how many slots are on the node and how many apply, it determines if you get in. If you get in, I don't know if you get a random one of the predetermined bases, which is also a different change, is that there's going to be predetermined bases. But it's we also don't know what happens to if there's 15 slots and 16 guilds apply. Does the 16 guild get fucked, or do they have the option to go somewhere else? Do we know how many people have already applied, like it used to be where you could see how many were placed? But just kind of covering that topic first, what's your guys' opinions, concerns? Do you guys think it's going to be only T1, T2s, or do you think it's going to be T3 plus as well?
Thank you for
Pretty sure it says that it's only 2-1s. I think
Nice.
it's only
Thank
like
you for
stage 1
the
stage
sub.
2.
Thank you.
Pretty sure they said that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the concern with that would be what's going to happen to all the smaller guilds. They're either going to die because they can't get wars anymore, so which means everyone's going to obviously leave those guilds, go to the stronger guilds or the established guilds. That would be really like the only option. I mean, if a node, say, has room for 13 forts, which we just had on Wolf Hills tonight, I think. And if any other guild joins that, and all these T1 guilds are here, I mean, how many do we have? Although granted, a lot of them aren't warring all the time. But if any of them do and they can't get in and get content, what's going to happen? The scene's probably going to shrink. Less T1 or less Nodewar guilds, which means probably or possibly less guilds moving up to T2s. Obviously we had Epidemic move up T2s, less. I think we have Narcotic going to T2s shortly. So there's still guilds moving up to T2s, but if we don't have fresh guilds coming in T1s, I think T2 scene T2 plus will also suffer potentially.
Okay.
And
Go ahead.
they're adding so many nodes to T1 with like such higher participant caps also, where it's
Thank you for the follow, Marty.
Okay, if it rando drops you on do we know if it's like it's rando dropping you on the node or it's rando dropping you like a base location?
We don't even know if it's rando dropping or if it's just like a selection system post. It could be something like let's say there's 15 guilds and 15 slots, so everyone gets in. It could be first come first serve at 7 p.m. CST, or like 1 hour before Nodewar starts. It could be a situation where everyone's selected a number and you get to pick in your order and you have like 5 minutes to pick like a draft system. We have no idea. None.
Yeah.
And one of the big things too, for anyone who didn't know, I talked to the CMs today. I said, yo, can I get a little bit of a clarification please on this system? I had a couple questions, and the NA CM said I had absolutely no idea any of this was coming. None. NA was not
Oh,
told
no.
until it dropped.
The one you DM'd, by the way, Johnny, is the one that's ahead of the content creator system, not the one who's head of Nodewars probably anymore.
She
You could, I think Black Star is probably the best to reach
is
out to.
Blackstar taking over
I
that?
don't know
Because she
who's
used
taking
to do
over.
all the Nodewar stuff.
Yeah, well, she's doing content creator stuff,
Mhm.
and that's a lot.
I think she said that she's doing both. Because when
Good luck.
yeah, well, I talked to her about it, and she said that she was kind of running out of things to do. So she's picking up the content creator as an extra thing. I don't know exactly how much of that is true because I don't ask her every day. And that was, what was that, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now that Delphi quit or retired or switched
Yeah.
or whatever.
Content creator, like as a whole, though, like running that program's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the idea of the whole raffle system, base system thing is supposed to make it an entry level for new players, to be honest, but in like the wrong way.
Mhm.
Because like you kind of skip like doing politics on the node
Mm-hmm.
and like choosing to plan with people until like T2 plus, which kind of makes it so that you're kind of like you don't really know anybody when you go T2 plus. You get zerged more, which makes you want to go back to T1s and the random placements. I don't know. I think it's dumb, but I don't think they're gonna
I think
undo
the
it.
intention is good. I think what they're trying to do is give everybody more of like a fair chance to participate, and they're trying to run it through themselves. But BDO has always been a game where like players have a lot of power in what they do and how they operate, and I think taking that away could affect the game in ways that they don't expect.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
they
who-
don't realize it's like the social components of the game, definitely. I mean, like, just what Cezanne said about moving up. If you've never seen a cannon on T1 beginner, I doubt people will use them much on the intermediate. And now you try to jump up to T2 and you see like flames. What tier do we get watches now?
Tier 3s.
Yeah, I mean,
It'd be the
removing
old
flame
T3,
turrets is
new T4.
fucking abysmal
Yeah,
change.
if you've never seen a flame tower, you've never seen a cannon, you've never seen an
Mhm.
L,
Well,
you've
what
never
are you
seen
supposed
fucking
to do on the
Yeah, how do you
T1
learn?
when you're the weaker guild and
Well-
you have no flame turrets? A guild just walks into your base, takes
Mhm.
control, kills everyone,
Well,
axes.
that's the
Mhm.
other thing, yeah. So a weaker guild, obviously, you can easily knock out a guild in 15 minutes or whatever if they don't.
Oh,
have
it'll be
certain,
much faster
less-
than 15
less-
minutes if
yeah.
there's no fucking
Well-
flame turrets. You'll have guilds
Yeah.
dying in under 5 minutes if they're just allowed to walk into your fucking base.
And
So
then
I
there'll be
promise you that's what's gonna fucking happen.
But
Well,
then
in the
there'll be
translation-
gatekeeps, right?
Yeah,
And then they get locked out
Right,
for the
but
week,
do
don't
we,
they?
Exactly.
want to promote
Next
more
round. Thank you for the
gatekeeping?
sub.
No.
I very
Doesn't
much
sound like a
appreciate
good,
it.
healthy
Ifira,
change.
No,
thank you for the
that'd be
follow.
so
Welcome,
Yeah,
And I
welcome.
mean, like, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Alex.
The translation. I mean, talking about how people are gonna just end up wiped off like instantly. I mean, at least the Google translation of the G Labs patch is so BM. Like it literally says translated, like
Yeah.
Let me find it. Da-da-da-da. Please enjoy the faster tempo and hotter battles. And it's like, yeah, it's faster and hotter because one dude with an axe is gonna walk in and take your whole base.
Mhm.
I mean, like,
I mean, on
like,
T1s, you can
we-
basically solo axe down barricades.
Yeah.
Like, at the
I
current
mean,
situation.
can
we did that
already
to
axe so
Omni on
quick.
Tuesday, apparently.
yeah, I mean, you can already on T1 axe people down so quick, and then it's like, well, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Nerf axes, and then now it's just like you've got the cycle of nerfing, buffing, but they're just gonna spiral it.
Well,
One
Aren't they
Yeah, I don't
also
think
adding
they did.
spec attacker vision to T1s too?
they're
is-
adding
that's
20%
pretty
spec
huge.
attack.
That's
So they're
pretty
Yeah.
huge.
Wow,
they're
really?
yeah, well
Yeah.
they're adding spec attack evasion and they're increasing the tankiness of
Yeah.
T1. So I think it's gonna actually take 4 people to kill somebody on a beginner.
Jesus. Is that what
Yeah.
you guys wanted? What you guys asked
No.
for?
No,
Every-
I think everyone said that make the beginners squishier and make intermediates to
We
me are
wanted it-
perfect. I love intermediates.
We wanted the health degradation gone too. We're fine with the
Mhm.
5K because obviously a brand new player is not going to have fucking 8K.
Yeah,
so
that
people are
makes
playing with
sense.
8K health and shit.
I mean,
So we're
this
fine
might
with
be
the
like an
5K
out-of-pocket question for you guys, but as you know, like APOC, we don't do a ton of T1s, and one of the questions my guys had was like, is there some sort of like extra DR mechanic when your HP gets low? Because we've been feeling like
Yes.
some sort of weird
So-
like people get tankier.
So when the capped there's some sort of percentile system in the game. So if somebody's at 5,000 HP, and I'm going to use Gravedigg, especially since Warrior, and let's say at 5k HP is the max, it does 1,000 damage to the person no matter where their HP currently is, but the max is 5k. when the max is 2500, Gravedigg might only do 500 damage instead. We don't know why, but that's just how it works. We've noticed there's like
You
some
think
sort
it's
of
like the RBF mechanic is in like fucking T1s or something.
I have no way to like prove or understand how any of that works. It might honestly, a percent would just make sense, right? Like let's say Gravedigg does like 30% of, or like I'm just going to use a random number here, but it's probably not true. 30% of target's health plus an additional 1500 health. That would mean that at 2500 health or whatever, it's going to deal less total damage, which is really, really weird. Damage is percentage max health based, says Tarnished, which is also a really weird way to scale things, because it's like getting more HP doesn't matter in some ways depending on the skills that hit you. If they have that percentage max health thing, it might just be capped. I don't know. It's really weird. I've definitely noticed it though, because it's like some skills hit just as hard at that 2500 health, which means that they do a shit ton of damage according to your max health. Meanwhile, at 5k, they do the same damage, so you don't feel the difference. Or you have some skills
when
that
we were at the Wolf Hills on, I guess what it would have been like 25th or something
last Friday.
we were like, in the beginning, we were just running people over. Like we were just killing people in like 1 to 2 skills. Like we just ball up and run things over. Towards the end of the war, it was like, okay, why are these fights taking so long? Like, what's going on? So that explains it.
Yeah. Vanilla Gorilla in chat said that there's a system in Guilty Gear where your HP is lower, hits do less damage, because there's a hidden stat called Guts that boosts the damage resistance while you're low. And there might be something like that with max HP as well, and at least in capped content or something. It's really weird. So the raffle system, initially I heard from some T1 guilds and players that they kind of liked the raffle system because it would disincentivize or help eliminate the recent dramas, like the Wolf Hills fight that was a 4v9, 4v11 or something like that. 9. Yeah.
4v9 on the 25th.
I don't think it really would, because Invictus pulled in the other four in like the last 10 seconds.
So you think it would just be the same thing, but like last second kind of a thing? Okay.
Yeah, you just find out who gets in real quick, ally up. You won't have no forts right next to each other, but you could still easily create fights like that. It's not gonna stop anything.
Okay, and especially if you want to, if you want to Zerg, it doesn't matter about placements because it's going to be just a a big outnumber versus a smaller number.
Yeah, they're pretty much making it so there's a feature in game that allows guilds to be perma-zerged.
Yeah. Okay.
And whether that's big guilds or baby guilds, I mean, like, it goes both ways.
Yeah, okay. So that won't change. I mean,
well, I mean, you'll have people applying to Nodewars with their allies, and what's going to happen is they their allies and them might randomly get in, and then the other side doesn't get any of their team in, and then they just lose. You could have that as well.
Okay.
Which is what I'm saying. When you got as many T1 guilds as there are, and some don't get in, I don't know. It could also start leading to, like I said, some of these guilds disbanding and just joining other guilds and consolidating into, just a select, 10 guilds that are going to constantly be warring. That could be the case too. If people really want to war, why would a guild like, I don't know, who's a new one? I don't know, Dissension, who we saw today. Why would, a guild like that stick around or something like that? Or who did we fight the other day and we killed them in like 15 minutes on Nerds? You guys were there, Alex.
There's a few baby guilds
on that Polly's fight. Smokehouse or something like that. I don't know. I forget. We killed them in like 15, 20 minutes. Why would that guild stick around for crap fights when they can just disband and join, Nerds or us or somebody else and consolidate? I don't know. I don't see it expanding T1C, and I can see it killing it off and consolidating.
And with these participant caps expanding, like nobody on T1 asked for 55, man. I mean, like,
Gracie's saying Gracie is cold.
The only two non-allied T1 guilds, and like, we cap, like, sometimes, depending on the holidays, whatever, it's hard to hit the 35 here and there. But like, there's 3 guild alliances not capping 20s, 25s, 30s. Like, how are those 3-man alliances that do have 150 players supposed to hit a fucking 55 if like a guild that hasn't been around can't?
Thank you for the sub. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hit that. I think we can probably hit the 40s. The 55s is even a stretch for us at the moment. I think we could probably do it if we refocus our recruiting and stuff like that, because sometimes we do go over. But I'm 55 on a T1 is just crazy. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
So, do you think that it is a issue that guilds with 100 150 players are not capping 25 30s? Because I would view that as an issue. You have players that aren't playing the game.
So
Yeah. We have no issue
but
capping
it
the
isn't.
25.
Like it's a problem, but it's not, right? Because like not every guild is gonna be like
Mhm.
nerds, where it's like, okay, you have this node war rec, can you war? If not, sorry, too bad. Like a lot of these smaller guilds. I mean, that's how we started. Like we were a little tiny baby PVX guild bringing sub 10 people for literally months. So a guild like that can just kind of right now like drop and go, and yeah, like they might get stepped on and it's a little bit miserable, but there's at least like people watching, like looking for these names, trying to bring them into the community, trying to set them up with alliances. I know Talshani's been really good about trying to set people up with alliances. But if you have this new system where it's just like all these guilds disintegrate, how are they going to get into it? Like they say it's supposed to be more lighthearted, but if you're pushing these guilds to hit, all these crazy caps, a lot of these baby guilds, like they don't want to shred their players. I mean, some of them are AFKers, some of them are just like PvEers, life skillers, but it's supposed to be quote unquote more lighthearted, and you're asking them to literally shred their entire community so that they can hit these caps, and like it's not for everyone. It's a lot of time and effort to run a war
Well,
guild.
I think it's important to have a more casual space within the scene,
Mhm.
just for people to go and have fun. Because I mean that like I'm not saying there aren't competitive T1 guilds, but it is the area of like Node Wars that more people get to participate, more people can just form
Mhm.
guilds with their friends and go and have fun. Like it doesn't, not every like part of Node War needs to be like huge caps, huge like
Mhm.
strength guilds. Like there needs to be like a healthy balance of areas for people to find their content, because it's
Yeah,
just
like
healthier for the game overall.
yeah,
Where they
like
Okay.
can
more
start
small
out.
cap. Yeah, more small caps would have been awesome. Like give more 20s, 25 mans. Let some of these smaller guilds have more spaces to fight, and to fight like people, similar size, similar strength. But instead they're like, oh yeah, it's RNG. You might be on a 55 man tonight. GG.
Well,
What
so
happens too if like you're on a 50 man and like you've got your members ready for a 50 man and then you get pushed to a 20? Like
Right? I
so,
mean, like that's what I was thinking about it too. It says
not
it's
that it would
supposed to
probably
remove
happen with your guys' scene, but if they implemented the system into the higher scenes, I feel like
it.
this would be like really bad.
It would
so
happen. It would happen down here with some people. Sorry, Johnny.
no, you're good.
Yeah.
Wanting the same thing, covering the raffle system, or like how guilds place nodes. We heard a lot of the T1 guys, but like Czane, Soggy, Dank, Artie, Todd, Pog, even, or Swid. What are you guys thinking of how it's going to work for the T2 plus scene? Right, the old T2 plus scene, now the T3 plus scene. Do you think it's going to be a bad system no matter what, or do you think that there are some limitations that if they put on it, it'll be positive, or which are the kind of general thoughts here?
I don't think they'll implement it into T2 Plus, because
Don't think so?
it doesn't. Nah, it just doesn't really make sense. Because I think they're doing it to make like the entrance level better for everybody as a whole, I guess. Because I think there's a lot of politicking going down when you place down forts. So I guess the raffle thing, I don't know if it is like how you said, where you just randomly get placed on a node, or is it like a raffle per node that you apply to? But and like T2 Plus and stuff like that, you kind of do a lot of setup fights, so it wouldn't really make any sense. Like especially if you did like the random base placement, it would kind of kill team or setup fights altogether. Like the 2v2s, 3v3s that we do, which will kill a lot of guilds. Because there'll be a lot of guilds that just get bullied by like Digi, Corrupt, Joe. Yeah. But I don't think it'd be very fun for anybody. So no, I don't think it'll ever be implemented in T2 Plus.
I think this is a clear change that they're trying to implement for the T1 scene. It's just the barrier to entry is still not semi-high, but I mean it is people who have no idea, no concept of node warring, may not understand how to plant, where to plant, stuff like that. So they're just automating it for you and removing flame towers or watches. So they're dumbing it down to like a very easy level to enter, which I think is probably helpful. I think they just need to be careful with the raffle system. They should just be like, you apply to a specific node, and then and maybe they should just standardize sizes per day. So every Wednesday is just all 30 mens, every Friday is all 50 mens. So that way, if you apply to any, it doesn't really matter. It's the same size, and that kind of solves your problem you're concerned about.
Yeah, it's a little coin flip if it's gonna be easy or not, because it's like right now you just take a fort, go, drop it, and a lot of guilds kind of manage to figure it out and like have somewhat decent base build. I mean, like sometimes we'll stumble upon someone who's never dropped before and it's just barricades. But usually, you know, they do have the basics. They have the flamers, everything. I don't know, like when I was an itty bitty baby GM, like trying to figure out Nodewars and stuff, I didn't know what I was doing, and it was literally just drop a fort and go. Like, I don't know how these new guys with no PA created guides or anything would figure out the weird logistics. Because I mean, like right now we don't really know. It's all still TBD, but I'm sure when it does officially drop, like us having done this for years are still gonna have questions and be confused. And you know, PA spaghetti code does always play that X factor. So like if a baby guild, you know, can't figure out how to enter that raffle system or something, you know, like is it gonna be harder for them? Like are they just gonna put an extra barrier?
I mean,
It's
I
hit or miss.
I don't
It's
th-
hit
I
or
don't think
miss.
that's gonna be the case. Honestly, I think that they make the game
Yeah.
easier as time goes on. I don't think you've played when
Yeah.
the game launched, but you used to have workers go out to your nodes to build your your
Yep.
base building
Oh
back in the day
yeah.
was a lot more complicated than it is now, and they've dumbed it down even more just in general. So I don't.
Yeah.
The assembly tools you used to have specific annexes, specific tiers of each annex. So these are all things that have made to simplify. So I doubt the system is going to be more complicated than it is right now. It's just going to be apply to this node for your guild, and then it'll place it for you down, and then maybe even give you preset setups for the actual structures because you don't really have anything on T1.
So on T2 plus, no raffle system. Will you guys be able to just build your forts like as you please? You don't have to think about it.
If there's no raffle, we don't know if well, it sounds like it will only be for the new T1 T2s, which is just old T1s, but we don't 100% not 100% sure.
I'm pretty sure it says on like the summary, like I'm pretty sure it literally says T1 and T2, or it says like 1 and 2.
It says, okay, many guilds participating in stage 1 and 2 base battles are forming alliances, yada yada yada. And it says later on, here's the changes that are happening to Nodewars, but it doesn't say that's only happening to T1s. It sounds suggestive like it might be, but it's not a confirmation.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
implied, sort of.
Yeah, it's like sort of implied,
Please,
which
God,
is
don't bring this shit to upper stuff.
I
Please,
don't
just
think
leave
they
it alone.
won't because I don't think they will because it ruins the competitive aspect for it. I think what they're trying to do is with like removal like flame towers and all that stuff, they're trying to make it so you practice on your skill on your classes rather than like if you're good in a flame tower and stuff like that.
Mhm.
yeah, you don't have to handle the logistics. So
Man,
The special teams, yeah.
I'm gonna jump down a little bit on the changes because we've been talking about the building changes. So I talked about this with Dank, and I've talked about this with a couple others as well, but Dank mostly. I view the building changes to be positive, excluding the ballista one because I'm not sure yet. For the simple fact of one of the hardest things to do when starting up a T1 guild is finding people to man barricades, man a cannon, man a hawacha, plant a flag. And so by having this stepping stone, it allows people to ease into Nodewars, right? You don't need a whole guild and team ready to. If you want to start Nodewaring in T1 beginners, you just need basically a shot caller, a defense lead, and some people. That's all you need, and you can get into Nodewars. And then if you want to move up to intermediates, you need a cannon. And it's like, okay, cool. That, you know, it's like in a flag place, right? It's like one more thing that you need. And so it's a lot easier to recruit as an established guild, no matter what tier you're at, than it would be as a brand new guild that's not warring yet. And so this lowers the barrier to entry. So I think it would be more helpful to new guilds up and coming. But what
I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that, or do you have any reason why you would disagree with it?
The only thing that I would be worried about with that system is, like I said earlier, the stronger guild just coming in and ruining the fight.
Yeah,
Because like
that's what
flame
I
turrets
I
and
don't-
things like that
so-
really do act as like a barrier of protection.
Right.
So you take that away, because there's nothing stopping a guild from just going to one of these, right? Like anybody can go to these. So like even if we want to make it all for beginners, as we know that doesn't happen. So
That's true to an extent because
Right.
for siege guilds and stuff like that, you have to snipe usually for your siege placements. A lot of guilds just snipe on Sundays, and if you own anything higher than a T2, I'm pretty sure you cannot go to T1s.
Yeah, but what if you're not though? What if you're like a
They're just shitting on people, bro. I don't. There's nothing. They do that now though. It's not like a flame tower was going to stop them before. They're still going to kill you just faster.
yeah, it gave him more of a fighting chance though. Like if you go to a node war, would you rather die in 5 minutes or would you rather die in 20 minutes?
Yeah, I mean,
mean-
there's a lot of mechanics in the game that are supposed to help with that, like the iframe on respawn. If they changed it to be something more like flag, you would see guilds get ran down way faster. If they eliminated it completely, I think people would just die before they even render, which would be an issue, of course, which is why they implemented it. But there's a lot of changes they could have with that. FTs are a way to stop people from getting instantly backdoored. Like if you're an hour and a half, hour 45, even if you're not a new guild, right? If let's say APOC and who's number 2 right now, like Nerds or something like that. I'm just gonna use Nerds.
Oh yeah, probably like Nerds or someone.
Let's say APOC, who I would argue is stronger, is on the way to Nerds, and Nerds CTG'd APOC, and APOC already used theirs and is like halfway on a big fucking node, and it's just those 2 left. Nerds probably could kill 5 people on the APOC defense if that's what APOC leaves behind, and then just axe the stick, and it's super easy because it's 45-second spawns or something at that point. Which I could see.
Flame turrets, you can backdoor super easily.
Yeah, the backdoor meta is just going to get obnoxious for T1s. I do see that happening. I think leaving flame towers for T1s would be good. Otherwise, the rest of it you could strip. And cannons.
More experienced guilds are going to know how to manage that too. Like like the people that suffer the most from that are going to be new guilds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
In general,
especially
the idea
once
is
the countdown timers start getting up. Yeah, you're gonna burn the new guilds quick. I think Ricos and Flame FTs are okay.
The idea is that as you gain experience, you get the fuck out of T1s. Like that's the whole point, right? So you give people room to develop their own guilds and then leave themselves. If you're just going like, if Cho Digi Corrupt went down to the T1 scene as it exists, no matter what iteration of it, you just the scene wouldn't be able to play. Like you're not gonna play the game, right? The experience level's too different. So it's the same. It's similar with you and new guilds. You should not be there forever, in my opinion.
It's just, I mean, it's the same thing. We've even seen this primarily recently by, I would say, Strain Turbulence, which Swid is here, of going down to the T1 scene and bullying people, and we still saw it. Like they would win like 1v2s or 1v3s with the current system. So I don't know. I think it's going to be easier to be able to shit stomp, but I don't think it's going to make anything less inevitable. It'll probably just speed things up, which it is what it is. I don't think there's any real good way PA could make it so that people can't just bully noobs if they want to, unless they wanted to implement some sort of system of after you drop your first stick on a node war, you have X amount of months before you can no longer participate in T1s and T2s. Like maybe something like that, but that's all I can think of. But then that causes other problems.
It kind of contradicts their previous like lockout adjustment as well, right? So if APOC, for example, rolls up on Tatsuo, like if Tatsuo doesn't live for 10 minutes without FTs, they can't war for the rest of the week, right?
Yeah.
So,
like what if Goon goes down?
We make a lot of deals with guilds where like we promise not to kill them until they're
well, yeah. Well,
out, right?
it's just more of an example of
an example of what you could do, not necessarily what you are doing.
Yeah.
Because it's very much the case of, let's say you wanted to go full deranged mode one day, ankle break. You could just like decide to, I'm gonna fuck this guild over. They don't get a war for the week, lol, on Sunday, and just lock them out.
Week.
Yeah, don't drop next week. Kind of a situation. So jumping from the T1 side to the opposite side with T5s, the new T5s, Artie, Dank, Toggy, Czane, what's your guys' opinions on ballistas and fences being in Nodewars?
When I first saw the changes, I instantly thought of how they didn't nerf the new like repair mats. So I feel like there's gonna be a lot more stalemates, to be honest.
Yep.
Because it's gonna take a lot harder to get into the base, or a lot longer, and then people repair a lot. Go ahead, Soggy.
I think it's the other way around. I think that now T10 Peggies that are just gonna like completely dictate the pace of the fight. Imagine you leave your base and you can't get back in because you got to run around to the gate because there's fucking siege walls. It's just, I think that it's going to be an interesting meta. It might be interesting to see it. I just hope that they do very large node counts for those, because anything that's like sub 55 is just not going to be playable. It's not going to be fun. You're going to stalemate everything. But if it's a higher node count, it might be interesting, I guess. It'll be cool to test. I don't think ballistas are needed. They there's enough things in the game that can deal with walls. Why are you guys adding ballistas in? The ballistas like strip recos very quickly. So like honestly, like they kind of lopside fights really, really badly in Siege right now. If you get like 2 or 3 ballistas stacked up on a base, they just get full stripped in like a minute, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
just
and
try to deal with them fast enough.
structures are even weaker in uncapped, right? So like it's
Yeah.
going to be even more
Which is why I think that if it's a high 4 count and one guild has a lot of T10 Peggies, the second you leave their base, they'll just fly into your base and burn your stick, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, to run back to your base is going to take you too long, and where are you going to go, right? So that'll be interesting, but hopefully they're quick to react if it ends up being a disaster.
They didn't have the number count on like the annexes, right? So
Nope.
surely we don't make it like mini siege where it's 3 and 2 for defensive structures like siege, right? It's gonna stay 2 and 1 hopefully, but I don't know.
I mean, even without T10 Peggies, you don't need a T10 to get into a siege base too.
Yeah,
you can get in with the
T9s,
T9s, yeah, which everyone has now because they give them out. Whether you, I mean, in the upper guilds used to have as a rec, so that's
How weak are flimsies? I've actually never placed flimsy before.
On 100 man, they're
Flimsies are very weak. We ripped
Very.
one down real fast today.
Yeah, but that's
It was like one
that's on-
push. That's it.
Yeah, but that's on 100 man. So if it's on a 50
Yeah.
or 30 or something stupid like that, it's basically a siege wall.
okay. And then they're keeping the enhancements for turrets and watches for the T4s and T5s, and they're giving traps to everyone. I guess they decided to mention that. Moving back up, one of the big things that I was excited about, and I haven't met anyone that isn't excited about it, is that they rotated the nodes finally. And somebody told me they talked to someone, so I don't know 100% how true this is, that now the system has been put in place, quote unquote, that they can rotate the nodes, and so they should be doing it on their original season count like they wanted to back in January, where they do it every 3 to 5 months or whatever. I'm super excited about that.
I'm totally down for that. Yeah, I'm totally down for that.
Node rotation is cool. Just some of the nodes, like looking at them, like specifically the T5 nodes, are kind of questionable. Like Alejandro Farm as a 60 person feels kind of.
Bro, Gyfin is a, what is that, 80?
80? This
Yeah.
feels kind of
Dude, that's
wild.
crazy.
So Alejandro Farm, I kind of disagree with. Alejandro Farm's a fairly big node. That was a
With
big.
safe, it has a lot of safe zone though. That's what I'm saying. Like if it's not pre-placed forts, it's.
Oh, I
The
mean,
west side is like 3/4.
I mean, the thing is, the player count doesn't matter for if the node's shit. It just,
I mean,
you know,
we also don't know like how much like space as far as like walls and stuff are gonna take yet, right? So
yeah.
like we don't know the size and stuff.
Did you not use the siege in sunny Serendia, bro? That shit was
No, I'm
you
fairly
can fit a lot there.
We're all Zoomers here, so
All
you
Zoomers.
can fit 4 or 5 there. It's not a big deal. It's a pretty decent node size, and like it's not. I mean, I don't think the siege walls are gonna make the base that much bigger. Just imagine the barricade line, but in a more boxed shape, right? That's it.
Yeah.
I have the old the map for it or whatever. Oh, speaking of changes, there was enough upvotes on the forum post to change Balano Siege to Serendia Siege. And what Viz was told by the CMs is that, or CMs, GMs, whoever it was, is that if it got enough votes, which it met the amount that it needed, it's going to happen. So it should be a guaranteed thing that Balanos changes to Serendia.
That's good.
Yeah.
Why not both?
Why not both? Because they don't want to add any more Nodewar zones, is what I was told. Where is the old?
There's just not enough guilds for it.
Yeah.
I think for like the uncapped, by the way, I was gonna pipe up, but we kind of moved on already. They have Quentin Hill on like as a T5 on a Sunday. I don't know who wants to set up fights on Sundays, bro. But I love Quinn Hill. I love like they also have a Band Monastery too on Sunday and Hex on Sunday.
They're 100, 180, right? So
yeah, all on who's doing that?
Hundreds.
You just came off stage. You're not gonna call it again, right?
Yeah, I don't know why they decided to put so many of the nodes on Sundays, and they're all the biggest ones. Like Sunday is our least active day. Make it Friday. That's our most active day, I would say.
I mean, people snipe Sunday anyways, right?
Yeah,
so.
I mean, maybe it just works as like all the Torrent and Midnight Claws all snipe on Sunday, and then we're free for the week or something.
I'm literally looking at it. It looks like Tuesdays and Thursdays would be main days, or Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays would be main days for the most part. But
okay,
just like personally looking at it, but
with the rotation, do you guys like that they changed up the numbers? Because it used to be T3s was all 40s and 55s, and T4s were all what 50, 70, and 100, I think.
Mostly 50.
It's good to test, but the 30 men is not it. Man. It does not matter what they think is going to happen. You don't put ballista and siege walls and 30 people. Like you're just not going to function. That seems stupid as shit. Like 60 has to be the minimum for that.
The big thing is that all of the 30s are on Monday. why is this not like a mix? Like, right? Like if I want to be a 30-man guild, 40-man guild, give me a couple days a week that I can war. If I want to be a 70-man guild, spread them out. Like just spread all the numbers out. I will say that is a little bit wonky, is that they decided to stack
moving
all the numbers later down
around
the
is
week.
Fine, but everything else with it is kind of weird.
So they kind of made it to where it's like it's mostly 60s, right? 60s to 70s where you want to be at as far as like bringing in Nodewar now for the most part, instead of just 40 to 50. It's mostly 60 to 70 now, right? Or 60 to 80 maybe. I mean, I'm fine with it. Yeah, it's fine. It's just it's gonna hurt some of the smaller guilds
in the
T2
higher
scene
end.
right now.
There's none actually contesting 70s. Like let's be real. Like it's just Corrupt Digi and Cho that again like consistently fight on there. Everyone else either like maybe if you all call 1 week, but like in general, it's not gonna happen. Like for a lot of these smaller guilds. So
Well, a lot of times people avoid those because of those guilds you just mentioned. I know there's guilds that can fucking pull those during the week, but like nobody wants to go.
What like from what I've been
So many
told
people
from
just dodge
back and
fucking
stuff
Cho
when we
and
try
shit.
to set 70s up and fights like on 70s and stuff like that, a lot of the issue people have with it is it says it kills their siege numbers, which I don't personally understand, but it's just what I've been told.
Interesting.
That's cringe.
Do you
Get better mentals, you shit guilds.
So I think CC, if they plan ahead of time, can meet 70 caps. Milk, can you guys meet 70 caps if you
Hell
plan ahead
yeah.
of time? Okay.
Why do I need to plan? Well, I mean, maybe.
I
not
mean,
day
like if you're
of.
not like, hey,
I
5
can't throw.
minutes.
Yeah, I can
Honestly,
5
I think
minutes before.
Yeah,
but if it's the night
The day
before,
before.
hell yeah, we can
Yeah,
easily get
okay.
that.
I'm pretty sure EQ could. Todd could. Oh, Todd's muted. Damn that man's. I think EQ can. Are you guys back to vented, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'll change it tomorrow.
Thanks. Reforged could. OB can't. Vertex can't. Turb cannot. Barcode,
Wait,
I would
Reforged
assume
can?
could.
I thought Reforged can. I thought
No,
they-
Reforged can. They
Oh, okay.
they are able to. OB and Vertex cannot. To clarify my mumble rap talking. Okay. I think if they just spread out like what days or what, this would be a lot better, but I'm happy that they rotated the nodes, and they said that they're apparently going to be rotating them more often, which I think is fucking huge. So I mean, even if these nodes suck for a little bit, they suck for a little bit.
I think most of them are pretty decent though, to be
have
fair.
they commented on being able to adjust the actual zones? Like the Star Ends zone is just shit. Like I don't like really like.
I would assume they're
open
able.
it up on your map, like it's just. Like,
Yeah, it's the giant wrap around the mountain.
Yeah.
Todd says no, by the way.
Todd says no. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the giant wrap around the mountain. I would assume they would be able to because they added the nodes in and they've changed a few nodes. I think they're adding a few nodes in. Maybe it's translation. But they're adding, what is it? There was one that I just like didn't recognize, unless it's a translation again. It was the Palm one, I'm pretty sure.
What day is Val Castle site?
Ari,
Monday, it was one down. Ari has a palm bro. Yeah.
yeah, Ari hold. It's a T4, which is old T3s. Like I don't know where the fuck this is. That sounds like a Valencia node.
If it's at Aria, it's in Valencia. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe there are changing the actual drawings of some nodes. We don't know 100% sure. There's Old Man Legs, which might be a translation thing. White Branch Forest, Bree Tree Ruins. I don't. Maybe
Omar was there. Lava Cave,
Yeah.
I think it was a Tuesday.
And if you have like the other copy or the other version of it, maybe they're renaming them. Who knows? It's a little interesting. I will say the thing I am most excited for is Kron Castle on Thursdays. I am so hyped for that. Will that ever happen because it's a 40-man? We'll find out. Because the T5 version is a 30-man. So who knows? But I would love to do Kron Castle again. I haven't done it since T1s in the Risk system. So
It's a T5.
it's a T4, which is current T3s. Old Man's Leg is Elder's Bridge. Okay. It's 40-man. Which I think is perfect for Kron.
They have Rudum and Mirmak on the Friday.
It used to be 100, man. Kron Castle was sick at 100.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Maybe we'll see that in the future then. I just really hope they keep, like, even if they just randomly shift them, you know, that would be great. Moving on from that for the stats. So they made everyone tankier across the board. T1s to start off with. My initial thoughts are intermediates were perfect. Why are we changing them? And T1 beginners are already too tanky. Why are we making it even tankier? Do you guys agree, disagree, or thoughts on it for T1s?
It's facts.
A lot of people, at least in my guild, like we don't like the beginner caps, but sometimes that's like really the only viable option. And then, I mean, like, so they made the beginner caps to be easier for beginner players, with gear. You can hit it in life skill gear,
Mm-hmm.
And because everybody is so tanky, now you have to know your combos, you have to know not really your protections because you can just live. But like to kill someone, you have to be coordinated as a ball. You have to know those combos, those CCs and everything. And so it almost like kind of backfired in a way because now it's a little like more advanced for those newer players who might be learning all those beginning PvP concepts. So
Okay.
tankier is just going to be harder for newer players, who are learning PvP like basics up, not even Nodewar related, just like, if they don't even know how to do their stuff in a 1v1, like it's just going to be harder and harder in large scale.
Yo,
What up, Panda?
what up? Sorry, the AC broke at the house, bro. It's hot as a motherfucker.
Oh, you good? So, anyone else on T1s with that? Or you just kind of agree?
I walked away. I heard something about the caps being tankier.
Yeah, just basically T1 intermediates used to be perfect and T1 beginners were a little bit too tanky. Now they're changing it to everyone's going to be hella tanky with special evasion.
Right. Yeah, I think it's something that we didn't ask for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And yeah, I think intermediate was okay as it was. And if you wanted to be tankier, you can do beginner nodes and have that tankiness. And if you didn't want to, you could do the intermediates. And I think it was a pretty good stepping stone for beginner guilds. Like they could start with the beginner, they could be tanky, they can kind of learn their stuff. They can learn like ball movement, stuff like that, and then they can go to intermediate, experience less tankiness, learn things there, and then go from there, whatever they want to do. But more tanky is something that I don't think anybody really asked for, at least not that I know of.
The
We
T1
all
level.
don't like to use
Yeah.
tanky, yeah.
Well, and then special evasion crystals are just so much more inaccessible for new players. I mean, already for like a good T1 crystal set, elixirs, everything min-maxing. Like if you're really trying to min-max, it's hard for a new player. And then now for brand new baby guild players to have to figure out what the hell siege evasion, or not siege evasion, special evasion crystals are and like get those,
You guys got the
just
cheap
hard.
ones, no? Like
Yeah, you can use the cheap
Yeah, you
ones.
just
You can
use
get
the
the cheap
20 mil
ones.
ones because the HP cap is 5,000. Doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Tavala gear
Oh,
will Tavala gear gets you intermediates way over cap without journals.
And simple alchemy can easily get you the siege crystals too. You can mostly buy that stuff, the siege evasions. I don't even think you have to be anything crazy on alchemy, or I don't believe so at least.
No. And there's
Yeah.
200 specials and then 84 wands and 90 bonds.
Yeah.
Sitting
They're
at the
not-
I
moment.
don't think the siege
They're not
crystals is too
particularly
big of an
expensive,
issue.
right?
No,
Okay,
they're
so-
super cheap.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
like
that's
one
good
node
that that's
win,
not.
quite literally.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. Then that's not like gonna be a big barrier of entry since they're so much more accessible than they were when they dropped. Like with the
True.
orbs.
Because they were horrible to get for a long time. For
Yes.
T3, T4, and T5, I guess not so much T5s, but T3s and T4s, do you guys like that everything's being increased in tankiness? I know a lot of people, especially in the old T2, new T3, said that people were way too squishy and it was just giant rat meta. And even some people didn't like the current level of tankiness that was in T4s. Do you guys think the changes are good, too much, too little, or just in general?
Aren't they bringing?
Was perfect in my opinion.
If I read that correctly, don't they want to bring siege walls into Nodewars?
Yeah. We talked about that bit. We can come back to that, but for this part for stats, because your old ass jumped in late.
Sorry, it's hot, bro.
You're good. But for the stats themselves, I think Soggy just said that he felt like they were perfect.
I felt T3s were great. They should have just left, I guess the current
Yeah.
T3s, I mean. Current T3s felt great. Just, maybe make a little bit more tanky in T2s, but outside of that, it's like...
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
just needed to change
T2s needs a lot of adjustments. T2 is shit for main ball classes. If you're a rat, you were just having fun one-shotting everybody, and if you're a main ball class, your damage scaling is so poor, and you just die. And it was the tankiness is fine, but it's not really going to solve the problem. It's just a rat. It's a rat, basically cap.
I feel
anyone playing caster is just not enjoying it, or Zerks and stuff like that.
Okay. What were you saying,
I don't
Dank?
know why they touched T3s.
Yeah.
You didn't need to touch the T3s. You should have left it. The T2s definitely needed changes. But again, like what he's saying with like at like the certain AP bracket breakpoints, like some classes just do better at those like lower APs than others. So I don't know.
I think we're going to see a lot of guilds even try for T3s if they end up not liking the T4 caps. And with them having higher player nodes on certain days too, that means that it would be accessible, right? Like Wednesday Pilgrims is a 60-man. Thursday and Friday have 50 and 40s, and then Sunday is 50 and 70. So that would allow for people to do T3s if those feel good as well. I wonder how much it's actually going to change things, because it's what is that, a 41 AP or change difference or whatever for damage reduction to AP. So I don't know how much that would actually make a difference. Probably could math that out or something, but I guess we'll see. The rate goes up 2%. Evasion goes up, accuracy goes up. I mean, both of these just go up. So I know the accuracy to evasion is not a 1-to-1 scale, so it might be like a 10 to 20% at most. It might not be that bad.
I think it's fair, right? Because you have a lot of people getting gear, and then for some of the other guilds that have been climbing up, you know, they're finally surpassing that gear score, right? But they're not able to use it, so then they kind of drop off because they don't need to use all their gear, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Plus, too, remember we talked about, I think, last week, where they need to set it up where the comp does not change between T1s, T2s, T3s, and T4s, because a lot of guilds will push their players to re-roll a certain comp, and then the second you jump up to the next tier, the comp is completely nullified and useless.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant.
I mean, that's like one of the... We won't do current T2s because they just feel ass with our composition, right? Like...
it doesn't work. You can't. You get full red fed by a guild that just has the right comp. But then when you flip it, right, and they come to our side, it's not even competition, you know?
Yeah. It's the exact same thing, and it's so weird because current T3s felt like the closest comp to T4s. And so for them to kind of switch things up is a little weird.
T3s even allow viability for rats, so it's not like it's not viable.
Yeah, it doesn't make it unplayable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Main ball classes are just not playable. Like no one enjoys it. I don't enjoy calling it. So it's just such a lousy fight. Like I know they
mean on T3s.
No, on T2s. So before they buffed the flag,
Yeah.
it was actually just a miserable experience. Like I hated it. So I'm like, I don't like calling it.
One guy could wipe your whole ball and wipe the flag and everything else.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I thought that T3s was a good balance where everything was pretty much viable, and but it's still capped gear. So like at that point, that's what you want.
Yeah, it allows smaller guilds to be relevant still.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think they probably didn't need to change the caps there, in my opinion. But I mean, special attack evasion is not a do or die. It's not going to make them like insanely tankier, in my opinion. But I think T1s, where it's already way less damage, it's going to be a huge difference.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be insane with how tanky you guys
no
are in
doubt.
T1s. Like adding that special.
Yeah,
version.
no doubt that's gonna change. I'm sure class meta is also obviously gonna change in T1s too drastically for that.
Yeah,
T1s
Valkyries
always had a different class meta.
Listen, they're
now
buffing.
again.
They're buffing Caster and Valkyries, so that's going to be just the meta for T1s. It's going to be an invincible ball. Have fun. No one's ever.
Good luck. Have a beautiful time.
It's going to be like, I don't know if anyone was playing T1s at this point. Swid would have been with Goon during the risk system at the end of like 2021, early 2022, where one caster could just keep an entire ball alive against like a group of people because everyone was so fucking tanky. It's going to go back to that. It's going to be gross.
Never even got fights back then.
Yeah. I mean, it killed the scene. It straight up just killed the scene.
Well, I remember, ISO had a full like caster shit too, even when in Empire, and that ruled. Yeah, I remember that.
It was gross. I think that's a lot. They changed the medals, which I don't really think is going to do too much. I think people use. I mean, the only thing that's really big that people have been talking about is the corrupted immortals being available, which is a huge. Nice.
Fuck you! I don't have to.
Also, a huge change to charms. Yeah.
Charms.
Which that would be great for that. You know, then you don't have to live.
Everything else is irrelevant that they changed.
Mm-hmm. Is enchanting perfume? Is this charm? Is that what this is?
That's perfume's a charm.
Okay, so you could buy 4 of these and then buy it like 4 of these, and you have your or 8 of these, I guess, and then 8 of these, and you have your Nodewar. That's interesting. I don't know. I like that they're giving us more medals. I don't think it'll be that significant of a change, but. Medals being worth more, medals being worth more.
They're making PvP less costly to play, right? Again,
which is good.
Mm-hmm. Which is good.
Love that. Love to see that. Keep doing it.
My favorite thing is siege weapons. The durability of the ancient chariot that has been used in occupation wars have been increased by 1.5. Give us the fucking tank in NAEU, please. Why did the
Korea
KR
gets the tank?
Korea's had it for 2 years.
That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
That I don't know who told them they needed to buff ballistas. That shit does not need to be buffed in any capacity. The thing needs to die as fast as possible, and you just made it twice as hard. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the ballista was already really tanky. It was like 3, maybe 4 times the tankiness of cannon, and now it's just even worse.
Is it not just going to be like the most oppressive thing on Uncapped now? I know we like kind of talked about it, but like this shit seems like it's going to be the most broken thing ever.
It already is.
It's going to be a thing of in Uncapped and in Siege. If a guild is stronger than you, like not even greatly, but just a little bit, they're going to put a flex team on a ballista and put their main ball in front of your base, and you're just going to get ran down quick. Or if it's
what you just nest it, right? If you're if they can't clean wipe you, like what are they ever gonna do to you? Like,
yeah, they're just
you just ballista their base in 30 seconds because structures are. I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that uncapped structures are way weaker than siege structures. No,
they are. Yes. So it's going to be even worse than uncapped.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that like ballistas are just gonna eat a base in like 30 seconds on uncapped?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be weird.
I know me and Drifter are hella late, but you guys already talked about like the siege walls plus ballistas getting added to T4 plus wars.
Yeah,
or it's all tier Nodewars, right?
The ballistas and the weak wooden fence are being added to uncapped wars only.
Okay, it's weak only. Okay.
Yeah. Which I don't know. I think it's gonna make things siege light. Like it's gonna. They're weak.
Funny, but be ready to pull it back, please. Be ready to pull it back.
Be ready to pull.
I asked my engineer though if he thought it was going to be similar to like the Ellie situation, right? Where like Ellie's in T3 minus, you don't use Ellie's because they're useless, right? Like I was kind of wondering, would it be kind of the same situation where they would modify the way the ballista works, or the ballista's tankiness / damage and effectiveness in certain tiers wars, or would they just ignore it the way that they do in cannons? And it would just be as effective as it is throughout all tiers in Nodewar / Siege. And he was like, I'm not sure, but like seeing what they did to Ellie's, and like Ellie's were like fucking OP, right? For a certain period of time in all tier T2 plus. You ran an Ellie, it got on your base, that shit decimated your fucking base, but they let it run its course and then they changed the effectiveness and blah blah blah. Like, do you think that they would do that with ballistas, or do you think they would account for that straight up, or do you think they would just be like, okay, fuck it, we're just gonna add ballistas and they'll just be the siege tank weapon that they are, and we'll put them in T3 wars.
We got the full ballista.
Yeah, it's the full ballista.
It's the full ballista, but they didn't nerf Ellies. They just buffed the annexes. Like the skills came out. That's what nerfed the Ellies. It's not that there was a direct nerf on effectiveness. It's just the annexes do so much damage to it that if you push the Ellie into the base while any of those are up, they'll just instantly kill it for you.
Players too.
Well, but
that's just more so damage. Just scaling in T4, and in T3 it's just like you're just talking about the top end guilds. Like if I go throw it into a weak guild, I mean I don't want to call a guild out so it doesn't get all ego about it, but in general I just had a weaker guild in T3, they're not going to kill your Ellie that fast, right? It doesn't matter. So it's more like just confirmation bias of what we're watching at the top end.
But Ellie's mount in T3s, right? Like, if you look at a top-end Nodewar guild, like, you normally do not run an elephant in T3 plus because it's useless. It dies really fast and it does no damage. And you don't need it.
You don't use it to burn a base. You just use it for cannon flag defense, right? It's just a CC bot. That's it.
No, but even then you don't need it, right? Because if you plant it on a flag or on a cannon, it gets melted. Like that bitch will die instantly. It's elephants in T3 plus are useless. They don't do anything.
I would disagree with that. I still think they have a place. They're not obviously as strong as they used to be, but I would still argue that they have a good place, especially on some defensive things too.
If a ball's on your flag, your problem isn't the Ellie's getting burned. Your whole flag's dead. That's not really an applicable situation where the Ellie's going to be super effective. It's not meant to be effective against people.
You're trying to use it like as a damage absorber, as a deterrent.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
soak and
Yeah.
anti-flex bombing your cannons, right? Like just trying to CC him.
Yeah.
So
Right.
The big thing, the big thing was with like flex teams. I know when a flex or when an elephant or two or more is on a flag or a cannon, it makes it harder to kill. Definitely.
Yes.
So that's their kind of role right now, and they're also good for like burning gates and barricades even. You don't necessarily need them, but if you have one in pocket, you might as well use it if it's like easily accessible. So they're not like a need, but they're definitely useful in niche situations, which I think is fine. I definitely don't want it to be what it used to be on T1s, where the spear would one-shot people and the stomp would one-shot groups of people.
Great.
Yeah.
No.
Like it's not something anymore where it's useful to burn 5 barricades to put an Ellie up anymore. Is basically what I was trying to get at. Like I mean it's useful and it is, but like in those very niche situations, it's like offensively, yes, you can use it if you have your ball support, and then.
But if you're the offensive guild, it's still useful. You just roll them up to the base, slightly away from their FTs, and you just fucking stomp all their barricades down. I think like it's as good as an axe. It's better in T3 because no one's tanky. So running up an axe or to the wall just guarantees he dies. You just run the Ellie up, he stomps all your barricades out and charges out your gate. It still has a role. You can argue that it's not for 5 barricades, but realistically in group fights, if you're not the frontline guild, the only thing you're dying to is a backdoor. Your barricades don't mean anything.
Right, but then at that point, what's the use of an Ellie in a back door? Like, are you just trying to pull damage at that point, or
So
is it just?
I'm saying if it's offensive, right? So you're using them to clear barricades, and so you can dive a base better. So you sack them to clear 3 barricades. That way you have a hole
Right,
in
but
the
are you
base.
saying that the barricades that are holding your enemies out of your base are worth giving up so that you can pressure your enemy's base with an elephant?
Yes.
Or no?
If you're not the frontline base, yeah. I mean that's why frontline guilds sometimes don't plant cannon offs, and obviously cannons are still useful. But it's just you're the frontline guild, you're not going to be expected to maintain offensive cannon pressure. Right?
Why not?
Because you're the front guild.
Because you're the front
You're
guild.
the frontline guild.
You don't
Okay, but
have
you're-
uptime on cannon offs, right?
You as frontline guild cannot.
If you're in the front, you're taking the damage first. I mean, you are the front line.
If you're soaking all the cannon pressure, your annexes are not like gonna stay up most likely. So you build more barricades to maintain your base structure as long as possible from people just bombing into your base, right? This is group fights, not 1v1s. So you just that's where the frontline guild will sack offensive annexes, which is Ellie.
Cannon ops.
Cannon ops. If it's a mid-distance fight, even flag factory is not needed because you don't leave the base as the front guild, or you're just immediately getting backdoored, which happens to us a lot.
And then when
bring back that Naveen step fight.
Navarre.
It was great.
Yeah. Moving on a little bit from that stuff, and we can come back to it when we talk about like fights and stuff later in the podcast if we want. Two of the main things outside of a lot of the building changes and the way Nodewars work themselves that we saw was Valkyrie buffs and what I would argue was caster buffs, and I think everyone would agree with the caster ones as well. Somebody told me it was a nerf, but I thought they were on copium. These Valkyrie buffs I think look fucking disgusting.
You got a clip?
Yeah, I know.
EU was right all along.
Frosty
really
has
a
one.
Valk meta.
I mean, I think it's been a thing of Valkyries have been good. We just never had them in NA. Like, there's like 5 Valkyries. Like, what is it? Like, Swid, you probably know more than anyone. Like, how many good Valkyries can you name that are in NA? It's got to be at least less than a dozen, right?
Stand back.
Also, you basically need to macro on that class to be very good at it.
Yeah, and it played like a brick. You either macroed, or it was horrific. Swid has stepped away. All right, I'm gonna move from Valkyrie. Okay, welcome back. Overall, what's your thoughts on the Valkyrie buffs with the dash changes and whatnot?
So TLDR, it's a pretty big buff to bombing. It's a slight nerf, I would say, to like a more of turtle like play style where you're just kind of like sitting in the back and defending like your range and whatnot.
Wait, why so?
So our promptness got doubled in stamina, so you just have a lot of more stamina issues if you're trying to do like micro adjustments to movement with promptness. But the new skill, or the change to the skill Hostilidium, the one that looks like fucking Drac Flight, is gonna be a huge buff to just engaging, because essentially, like, you look at Drac Flight and the LMB that KDs everyone, it's unprotected, but you can actually take a core on the Valk Dash one, and it gives a protected KD at the end of it. And the modifiers are kind of ridiculous right now. I think they're 2200 times 7 with only 35% PvP reduction.
Okay.
Granted, there's no like down attack or anything, but if you get a back attack, people are fucking dead.
Yeah, you don't need to CC if they're already dead.
Yeah.
That's
Additionally, they also gave our crit buff frontal guard, so that's just a little bit more
oh
protection on that.
god, yeah, because you used to have to do the unprotected skill before you would go into SF
Yeah.
into F, and that was a risk.
I mean, you would normally give yourself SA to kind of like
Mhm.
counteract that gap.
Is that the RMB, if I recall correctly? That is the frontal guard now.
Yeah, the RMB.
Okay. Not because the other, you could do the RMB or the spear, right? The pre-awakened celestial spear, I think it's called. It's been a minute since I played it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not only that, they also they buffed another skill that you can chain out of like the really long dash that gives a -9% evasion, and it also cancels into the crit buff skill. So you can, and they're both frontal guards, so you can basically like chain those two skills after your dash to get a minus evasion and the crit buff into your ult, and then you can stack up. Granted, they're both only T1 add-ons, but you can put add-ons for that, and that just makes your bombing just way more powerful and easier to set up also.
Out with Drac, in with Valkyrie. All right. Oh god, it's actually gonna look like EU meta. It's gonna look like EU. Like we're gonna have like Valks are just gonna be it. And do you think this makes the class easier to play, at least for the bombing part of it?
100%, yeah.
Okay. Because I know when I was trying to play Valkyrie, it was honestly one of the weirdest classes to play from a movement standpoint, because it felt like because didn't macro, it felt like I was playing a weird brick, and I was constantly getting interrupted out of the movement. And maybe it was an FPS thing, maybe it was a skill issue, or a combination of, or maybe it was just the classes like that. It's really, really terrifying now from a bombing standpoint, I think.
Yeah, they actually did some changes I kind of agree with. They removed we had 2 multi-tick CCs. We had a multi-tick bound and a multi-tick stiff that they actually removed. That's like one considerable nerf that I think is actually somewhat warranted. And it actually kind of eliminates one of our best cores, which gave us a 4-second multi-tick bound in SA. But now they pretty much like made it, the animation of that skill is way shorter, so you're not in SA for that long, and they also removed it to the multi-tick, so it only bounds on the first hit.
Okay.
So that's also why I was kind of going towards like our turtle gameplay is kind of nerfed a little bit.
Nerfed a little. Okay. Do you think from like an enjoyment standpoint, that's kind of a good change that they've done to it?
I mean,
is this change better for people that don't really play the class, or like long-term people that play the class?
It's definitely better for people that don't play the class. It's way easier to play.
Okay.
Whether that'll lead to more satisfaction, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
You think it'll have the support that it needs though for dive? Because like you change the class, right? The class goes from being like a very ball heavy slow class to now a dive meta class, right? If it doesn't have like a complete kit, if the kit like only half supports it, it's not going to be successful, right?
I mean, I imagine what it's going to do is this like long ash dash into the immediate crit buff SFF, and if it has 100%, it's getting kills if you don't whiff it, and if you don't have the 100%, then it's at least going to like pull people and hurt some people, right? And then you continue into the normal kit.
Yeah, but you're committed for it, right? Like there's no like, for example, let's say you were to engage a ball, there's
always been.
Yeah, you're still committed for it is what I'm saying. Yeah, so you can't, there's no mistakes, right? Like it's all in or nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, it in that sense it has not really changed. Like I wouldn't say the core gameplay has changed really at all. It's just they're making it easier in terms of the bombing aspect.
And giving it parts to be successful with it, instead of it just being reliant on your teammates and you just being in a good position.
The big thing is that this dash is 2 seconds cooldown. That's all it is.
What? And it's full SA?
That's what this is,
It-
right?
okay.
Is that skill, or
It's
is that the
long.
second one?
It's 7 seconds, but
Oh, it's this
it
skill then.
starts as
Okay.
soon as you cast it. Since the dash actually lasts for like a good like 2 seconds, basically, it's only an effective like 5-second downtime.
Okay.
Is it SA on cast or only in movement?
Yeah, it's SA on cast.
Oh, so
And I think
essentially
it
you could
also
dive.
lingers.
Yeah, you could dive, do all your SAs, and then pull out if you're tanky.
Assuming you don't run into
Yeah,
anyone.
yeah.
It's not like Drac where you just
Yeah.
phase through
So
people.
that is another issue with this skill, is that in its current implementation, it has a very wide hitbox. So like, you can it'll very easily get caught on some random fucking thing. But
Oh, the terrain,
they
no
actually,
shot.
yeah, not terrain, but like if like you hit like a Nova minion or something, it'll just stop in its tracks. But I haven't been able to test it myself since my global app's bugged. But the like hitbox of it is way narrower than before, so I don't know how much narrower, but it is more narrow.
Oh god. Okay. I mean, easier to play. I don't think it's a bad thing.
I'm more hyped for the PvE buffs, to be honest, too.
The PvE buffs. I mean, was it bad at PvE? I think it was like at the high end, right? That it had struggles with. It was really good for Valkyrie, and that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, Valkyrie is also dead now. They
Yeah.
killed it pretty much. Well,
Um,
it's still somewhat alive, but it's nowhere near as brain dead anymore.
Okay.
And really, at most spots, high end, it was, I would say it was like a little bit below middle of the pack, except at like maybe Gyfins, I would say it's a little bit better at Gyfins. But we got like pretty much across the board PvE damage buffs, and then even we have a new way to cancel one of our highest damaging flows, but there's no internal cooldown on the flow. And so since we can, before we could only cast it after one skill, but now we can cast it after 2 skills. So that's giving us a lot more damage. That's actually what you're looking at right now, Johnny. They're
This
giving
one?
us yeah, so we can use that skill twice. And it
Okay.
does a lot of damage.
Is it the flow that's unprotected?
Yeah, the flow is unprotected.
Okay. Interesting. No, sheep, I won't. All right. I mean, that's changes. The vacuum. So somebody told me that the vacuum was not vacuuming people. I don't remember where it is, but it was a bug if I recall correctly, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The dummies and like the global lab BA are just like weird and they
Weird.
don't get vacuumed, but like actual players still get vacuumed.
Yeah, because I remember somebody telling me that, and then So Frosty. I remember like seeing So Frosty pull somebody because he wanted to make sure because it was bugged. So that's going to be gross. If we get Valkyries, I don't even imagine how castle defense is going to look like. If a guild tries to push through and you get like 3 Valkyries to vacuum and they all just 100% bomb it, how are you getting through the choke?
I mean, the vacuum I don't think really has changed too much. Like I mean, I obviously wasn't able to test it myself, but from what I could see, it wasn't too different.
Well,
other than like you can't full charge it to give double vacuum. It's only a single vacuum now.
Okay. I'm less so of like the changes to Valkyrie that make it gross for castle defense, but because it's in a better state, more people might play it, and so we will actually see it like in Nodewars and on castle defense. Sofa Kingdom says T10 Peggy is the answer. Yeah, true. Why go through the choke point when you can just fly over the base? All right. I mean, that's about everything I had for Valkyrie. I don't know if there's anything else that I need to bring up about it. I'm not the most knowledgeable person in the class. Is there anything else you want to talk about for it, Swid? Because you're going to be the most knowledgeable on it.
Overarching things. There's not too much more. I could get into more details, but I don't think there's really a need for that.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure there was no like big things that I missed or whatever that's going to be changing. So the movement and the vacuum and a couple more skills that we talked about. All right. Well, thank you for that, because having you come in here and be able to explain things makes it a lot easier to talk about, because there's not a lot of Valkyries, and I definitely don't know enough about the class to talk like you did. So with Valkyrie aside, the next changes that we saw, which is the wildest things and yet the least surprising things to ever come out of a PA Global Labs, is wizard buffs. These are nuts. So this is what skill that they're changing? It's destruction. Is that the shift F or is that the dash? The side dash.
It's just a shitty like it's a PvE skill.
It's the
Is
shift
it?
up, yeah, you can choose between that and evade. So you use the movement one for PvP, and then
Oh, it's this that they're changing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought
it's just a PvE change.
Okay, I thought they were changing evade to that. That makes more sense though. All right. Well, I'm a lot less scared of this new skill. The other changes. So somebody told me that the new percentages are actually a PvP damage. Does anyone have the math per chance on that? And if this is actually a PvP buff?
Check real quick.
Okay. And I think it was Sheep who told me none of the staff changes matter because besides CD on Meteor, if you recall correctly. Okay. I do say that, or do know that the new cooldowns, or not cooldowns. Well, cooldowns is big on Meteor, but this cast speed is kind of gross for caster.
Balanced.
Balanced, yeah. Where is the? I think he's gonna do the new Meteor, but it's fucking meta, wild. It's gonna be mage meta. Like it's just going to be like the Meteor is just now instant.
It's
I
always
love
mage
engaging
meta.
a
That's
bunch
not
of-
really the problem, but I
True.
think that that's the focus meteor though. Like I want to see the aerial speed.
Does he?
Focus meteor is not as important. Like if the aerial is as
Sure.
fast as anywhere near as fast as that,
It's
that's really what's
not.
broken. Yeah, like, the
Aerial
aerial,
is
the focus is whatever, man.
stupidity.
It's just more damage output, which I don't think is necessarily unfair because if you're standing, you're not gonna die. It hits one person, right? Like
Mhm.
okay, you have more burst damage on a single person. That's fine. I mean, it hits more, but terms of damage.
So if it's aerial is the CD, right, and focus is the damage.
Aerial is the AoE CC one that's unprotected, and I found that one to be kind of shit, but
Mhm.
I do see why it needs to be shit. So focus meteor is really strong because it has crit baseline on it, and so like this is just gonna nuke people faster because right now caster is basically built on being a blizzard bomber, right? Like if
Mhm.
you really want to try to blow people up, it's blizzard. The other ones are like you're full comboing unprotected to get a kill on people at range, so it's not as I don't think like caster is this like huge thing in terms of like blowing people up potential if you're not bombing with blizzard, but definitely is you're gonna notice the difference in Nodewar and Siege, obviously, because there's gonna be like, a lot of casters anyway.
Okay, because I think this is the clip that I remember where he does the
Like fireball explosion aerial.
Yeah, if you dive in,
He's using focus meteor. He's not
focus again. Yeah, it's still not aerial. I mean, do you think people will start taking focus then a lot more, or do you think aerial's too important?
I think the high impact players on caster will probably run focus, and they
Mhm.
usually already do for more kills. But like you want a healthy mix. You want the AOE CC. A 10-man CC is better than just damage. This thing doesn't CC you, so.
Okay.
There was a while ago. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Like when Cho was fighting Digi a lot, just from how many Zerkers Digi had, I remember a lot of I think Cho mages were often finding themselves swapping to Focus Meteor just because of how much faster it is, and using aerials too much of a risk against like those heavy Zerker comp. But
Okay.
that's obviously not applicable to every guild, but it's something to consider, I think.
Okay, so it's going to make the mages who frag harder, and it's not going to change the KD support mages. It basically sounds like
it's not going to change the flow of a fight in terms of like all this massive CC coming out now,
CC.
right? Like it's more so just there's going to be a bit more damage at range from casters, which I don't think is the biggest problem right now at range anyway. It's archers and rangers that are just blowing everybody up, so it doesn't. I don't think this is like a huge deal in terms of like output for caster damage.
Okay.
If it did a larger CC though and faster cast, then it would be huge.
If the aerial one got changed to be faster, that it would be fucking breaking. Like you would break the game. Like enough casters play and enough of them are good at it, where it just the aerial output is just insane if it's fast and like there isn't that huge risk of being CC'd mid cast.
You wouldn't even
I
need
like
that many.
small.
If 5 or 6 people were running it, that's 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, some
I like
are going to
small scale
overlap.
ratting. I think it's a pretty big change for small scale ratting.
Oh, this would be
Again, yeah, but that's
yeah.
that's not like large scale, right? To me, it's
Yeah,
not.
definitely.
It's not going to impact. My concern is like, is this change going to really scale really badly? I don't think so. I think that most of the guilds still run aerial, like most casters. A few run focus, and those guys will kill people faster at range. So I think that they probably don't need to use Blizzard to bomb anymore.
Okay. Outside of that, I think that's all of the Nodewar changes or everything I noted as well. They gave us like there's the new regions coming out and trash updates and shit like that.
Did you go over the Zerker changes last week or no?
No, I didn't. I know I saved them on Chrome. Those are completely unethical. By the way. So
I just have one question for Soggy real quick. So didn't they add the wizard Magnus skill to like the C cooldown reduction mechanic or something like that?
I believe they did.
Did they make it so like it reduces the cooldown on Meteor?
For cat, I mean for wizard, it's yes, it does, yeah.
That's pretty. I mean, that's a decent.
But it's a slow funnel. Like you don't spam it, right? Like it's a.
Yeah, that is true.
It's more so just
Like
honestly,
damage
most
control.
people use. I mean, again, I'm not like a fucking crazy caster, so don't take my word for it. But I use it just to kind of block damage if I'm like running out of things. I need a funnel, right?
Mhm.
I just use that in that way. It's not really a kill secure or anything like that. It's just more so you use it to protect yourself. So I wouldn't like. I don't use that to like. Oh, I need this to reset my rain of fire or my meteor. Because you still have like the fireball combo that you use at range. You just blink fireball explosion, and that's an instant CC, bull-eyed, and then your focus meteor. That's usually a kill. But like rain of fire is usually mostly defensively. Honestly, again, take that what you will from not being someone like Details that would probably be able to answer that better than me.
Yeah. Panda, you brought up the Zerker changes from last week. What were you talking about particularly within these? I haven't pulled up here.
Oh, they got rid of the on Suck.
Or are
Suck
you
didn't
talking
get
about
too much-
Awakening?
Yeah, Awakening got some huge shit changes, but Suck was okay. It just got grinding buffs, a little bit of damage PvP, like slightly, nothing crazy. And it can actually deal a combo now. But Awakening, they took one of its like really good skills, General Disarray, and put in the new ability. Which the new ability, the damage on it was like very, very minute. I guess they buffed it to try to keep it up there.
I think they did buff it in the recent KR patch. But
Yeah,
I
it's
mean these
coming.
overall
We're getting it this
Zerker
next
buffs
week.
are up improvement, right? It's an overall buff because they gave it that. And what else did they give it? They gave it something else too, if I remember. Ancient Wave cooldown reduction by X amount of seconds or whatever.
Yeah. It's
Oh
still
my
long.
God.
But it's not Ancient Wave. It's the Devastation. Devastation went down a lot.
I mean, they took
Devastation
5 seconds off. That's a big CD.
you don't use it on
change.
large scale though, right? Like if a Suck Zerker's using that, they die. You know what I mean? Like because they're the initiators.
Just join
at the
any
end
of the
day.
voice
So if they
channels,
use that ability, you're
voice
dead.
channels.
Oh, I'm
Creeper.
talking Awakening. Never mind.
Yeah, Awakening's huge. Yeah, Awakening got that. The skill that they lost was really good, but the skill that they gained, I think, is even better. And
I mean,
the amount of
did
damage
you
that it output.
really? Did you use General Disarray outside of a combo? I can't remember from when I played
No.
Zerker.
You use it in like when you're 1v1ing meme shit, or like some
Yeah.
Zerkers like cope that like they used it as general movement, but
You had to use it in movement and also for a combo. Yes.
Yeah,
So-
for combos, I remember it being a nice tool, but they have other tools, so it's like not too big of a deal. I think on that. end.
Yeah. The new ability is really good, but it's still like mid range. You know,
Mhm.
mid close range.
Oh, my bad, interrupt. I gotta go, but
No,
that's
you're
all,
good.
boys. Take it easy.
Thank you for jumping
Take
in,
it easy,
Soggy.
Soggy.
That's
Did I miss
I mean we went over the global labs. Have you actually been able to look at them yet, Creeper?
I think half of it is retarded, and I'm glad they're changing stuff, but I mean, change is change at the end of the day.
So I guess kind of jumping to it, what do you think is bad, or what do you dislike from it?
Some of the nodes,
Oh, just the nodes themselves, like how many people are on them and stuff.
yeah, what was it? Alejandro Farm, 80 man. What was it? A T3 or?
T5, which is uncapped.
T5 60 man.
I don't know. I think Alejandro Farm is fine. I mean, when we have the
I mean, so it's all going to depend on if there's a pre-play system or not, right? For
True.
The upper,
True.
The upper things. If there's a pre-play
That's what I was
system,
trying
the
to
upper
say.
thing, it's more so a problem.
It's the
If there's not.
combination of stuff. It's just like, if you look at it for like the face value, it's actually not that bad. And then you're just like, oh, well, you don't even get to choose. You might just end up right beside a lovely safe zone, aka town spawn. And what are you going to do?
Yeah, you're
I didn't
screwed.
even think about that, Johnny.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. You know, when they randomly give you your spots, you know, some people are gonna get stuck in some fucked ass spots.
Oh yeah, some people are gonna definitely get
Surely.
fucked over no matter what.
Surely they don't.
Surely they remove safe zones, right?
Yeah.
Surely.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, even no matter what tier you're in, yeah, you're gonna get some fucked ass spots.
Speaking of removing safe zones, I'm going to post both in Twitch and in podcast discussion a forum post to remove safe zones. Please go vote on it and help us get rid of safe zones because nobody likes them. But
did that one that you did for the Balanos to Serendia Siege, did that one get changed or no?
That's Viz's, but it reached the amount of upvotes it needed, so it's going to go through. So
hell yeah, let's get it.
Yeah, I'm glad that he was able to get that changed. I'm sad that you guys won't vote to remove Nodewars. Please, I linked it in Twitch chat again and in podcast discussion if you want to share it.
Just want an upvote, that's it.
Remove them. Remove Nodewars. I mean, I have legitimately seen that post in different forms, so we love it. Remove Nodewars. But yeah, outside of the numbers, did you have any issues with the system? We talked about all of it overall before you and is it Bayvol jumped in today, but if there's anything big you want to bring up, feel free to. But we talked about the general. For the most part, the big thing that scared everyone was the raffle system, but otherwise everything seems like a decent change.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I think it's some nodes. I mean, I wish they just somehow managed to split up.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid we still have primal giants for whatever reason, but I feel like the potential. I feel like they're headed in the right direction. They just need a nudge to actually like take the right path. Change is always good for all these node war changes. It's always, but I feel like either they need to happen more often, or it needs to be directed by where the content lies.
So I was told this by somebody who said that they talked to somebody, and I don't know who in the hell they talked to because it wasn't an NA, CM, or GM. They said that the reason it took so long is they wanted to put in a system or needed to put in a system so they could easily rotate it, and now that system has been completed. It was put at halt and pause because of the Land of Morning Light stuff and yada yada yada. They even mentioned it at the start of this post. Thank you for the follow, by the way, Yang. That they put a pause to all the Nodewars seasonal stuff that they originally mentioned in January due to Land of the Morning Light and whatnot. So hopefully this changes every 3 to 5 months. Because I think if this does change every 3 to 5 months, even if we get Alejandro farm and it sucks.
Wait, just clarify. You mean the nodes rotating, right?
Yes.
Because please don't stick us with these shit changes if they're shit.
Yeah.
For 3 to 5 months.
I mean, yeah, the node war changes, if they suck, they need to be removed as soon as possible. But I'm talking about just node war rotation every 3 to 5 months, which I would be okay with if we changed them every 3 months, because if like one day sucks of the week to node war on because it's just 2 bad nodes, then it's one day of the week, right?
They should change them every season.
Yeah, well, the seasons are supposed to be 3 to 5 months.
Yeah.
Current day of the week is Thursday.
Yeah. Thank you, New Bad, for the follow. Welcome.
Changing things up is never like totally bad.
Bad.
Well, I mean, it's just gonna be like, I don't know.
The other thing they have to realize too is it's not just the nodes; it's what days it falls on too, right? Like there might be a really good node war on a Sunday, like a zone that would be a good node on a Sunday, but they have it on a Thursday. That attendance is bad and no guilds really want to fight or something like that.
I mean, they did that.
Attendance is usually bad on Sunday. Yeah,
they did that.
That's why you move them around.
Yeah, they did that with these. Like Quint Hill used to be Monday. It was a T3 and it was a 55. Now it's a Friday 80 T5.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's exactly what we're asking for. I think that they could adjust the numbers a bit so that way it's not like Mondays are 30s and Sundays are the highest cap. That's a little wonky. I think they just need to randomize it a bit. So like there should be a 30 on a Monday and an 80 on a Monday, and etc. throughout the week. A high and a low.
Yeah, have multiple options.
Yeah, for various guild sizes. Because it could be the case, right? Like Turb and PMA when they're around, even maybe like Milk or Barcode on like certain days might not be able to pull 70-80, so they might not be able to want to do that, or maybe they just want to do a casual 30 or 40 like you guys used to do Illabob for Vented, and so having a couple of casual days isn't a bad thing, I think, but you need a healthy mix of both, and as long as we get a healthy mix of both, they rotate the nodes every 3 months. Honestly, if assuming they don't put in the raffle system, they rotate the nodes every 3 months. this system to
Great
me is
change,
going to be
yeah.
the best change we've seen in a long fucking time, and I will be probably the happiest in Nodewars I've been since I've started, if that's the case.
I think from like a standpoint, is like what we've been doing. I think for 4s and 5s specifically, I think everything should be 50 to 70, and nothing over 70 and nothing under 50s. But, I mean, that's just me.
So part of the current issue with that is just to you have to have that currently because of the number of guilds up there. But if it was the case, let's say we had 3 times the amount of players playing right now in PvP, which maybe this new system will help, maybe it doesn't. I would love if there was an option to join a 30 to 40 man non-siege guild. It really sucks that if you want to be in the top 5, you have to join a siege guild. Maybe you hate siege. Maybe you hate anything above 55 mans. That's all you can participate in if you want to be a top guild, which kind of sucks. It's like, it's just, there's no room.
30 to 40 mans can be very fun.
Yeah, 30 to 40 mans can be super fun. Obviously, it's class dependent, right? Like, a caster might be a bit more sad on a 30 to 40, while a warrior is going to be exponentially happier on a 30 to 40. So that's part of the issue with it.
I mean, there's no bias there at all, man.
Yeah, no bias at all from the warriors.
It's not just classes, man. It's like...
Listen, man, some of our fights that we've had on like the 40 mans and the 30s recently have been like absolute bangers. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, but aren't you guys like actually just like kick shitting retards now? Like,
I mean, we don't take any of the T1s.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, yeah, they're always.
Shit, that's why I said casters, not archers.
Hard. Like even the last T1 we did, we fought a 4v9. Like we're fighting like 4 guilds at a time constantly, and like yeah, sure they're all much weaker than us, but it's not like I'm setting up the teams so like there's not a fight.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that. No.
I mean, it's personally, I like 50s. Like 50s, I think is a good sweet spot. 50 to 55 is just where it feels good. It feels like actually main ball fighting and less of spread rat gameplay, and I hate when it's like that. But...
The way
50,
I would
55.
like it. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say that 50 to 55 allows you to actually have a specials team.
Yeah. That's the other thing, unless you have special teams. Like 40s, kind of you're gutting something.
Well, you can also have a spec team without gutting like your top players in your main ball, right? Because then if you go higher than that, then you're just picking off whoever can end up coming that day. Or if you go lower than that, then you're tanking your main ball to account for whatever else that you need during that day.
Not so much I'm not saying tanking players from a certain thing, more so saying tanking numbers. So you're either running a light main ball or a big flex team, or you're running a small flex team and a large main ball. There's not way to do both.
I mean, the percentage isn't different, right? Like if I'm running a 30-man main ball and a 3-man flex team, that's the same thing as a 60-man main ball and a 6-man flex team.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was the point. Is like on a 70-man, if say you pull 50 90% of the time throughout the week, and then all of a sudden you do a 70-man fight, then you're pulling 30 extra people who, yes, you hope that most of them are the ones that would come if they got cut from the 50-man ball, but also you have to account for the ones that like they're just filling in spots, or they're not accounted for in the special teams, or blah. So the higher the tier becomes, the less like controlled your ball becomes, if that makes any sense.
I'm gonna hop out. I got a GG. Bye.
Thanks, Zane. See ya.
Of course.
Later.
But yeah, I mean, I just personally like the 50 to 70 area. I don't like anything above 70s personally, but I mean, I like the 55 to or the 50 to 70 range. I think is good.
Okay.
We really haven't had a 100 Nodewar anyway, so there's that.
Nobody does hundreds.
No one does them.
Yeah, it's hard to pull that amount of people, but
most of the guilds don't cap siege anyway.
I don't know if they can possibly code it in, but it would be nice to have a different tier and a different number on the same node on different days.
I feel like there's also like once you hit the 70 range, like there's so few guilds that can hit the 70 range first of all, and then second of all that are viable once they hit 70. Like that's what I was talking about, right? Like if you can hit a 50-man ball, those are usually your 50 top players. But then once you start getting into the 70-man range, like 10 of those players might be people you are kind of hoping don't yes up most of the time, and then the other 70 are going against, or the other 60 are going against top 70 of like corrupt digi cho, right? So like like the disparity, it becomes too wide between the guilds. Like once you hit the 70 range, you have too many factors that go into it. And so like, and there's also like, if you ever think about it, how often do you see a team fight or an organized fight with 70 plus people, right?
I think the
It just
last couple
it
of
doesn't
weeks has
happen.
been almost one a week.
A 70 fight already?
In
70, yeah.
70?
Yeah,
With who?
I
there's
thought the
Digi
last
and
70
Corrupt
was
had
the
one, and then we
2v2.
had the 2v2, and then there was one a couple weeks before that. I've tried
And
setting up
Crawling
in the
and
past.
Corrupt had one
We
too.
had the
Well,
2v2
yeah.
on Orc Camp too a couple weeks
I
ago.
mean, but think about it. The people you just said, Digi Corrupt, Digi.
Oh, what do you mean, Jackie? I might have
Crawling,
missed
Digi
something from what
CC.
she
Like
said. She's
those are
slurring the
some of
words a
your
little.
top tier fights, right? On Uncapped, and then once it starts falling below that, like I think Vented would be qualified in that, and there's a couple guilds that would be qualified in like. If you pull 70 people, yes, that's a fair fight. But like once you start dipping below like the top 5, and I would argue 6, like you're kind of scraping the bottom of the bottom of the barrel at that point, right?
Yeah, that's
Like,
fucking toxic, bro.
We ran a
No,
3v3.
I don't know if I
I
agree with
think
that
it's
anymore.
realistic. I wouldn't say.
I mean,
it's
we ran a
toxic.
3v3 a couple weeks ago. That was like, maybe it might have been almost a month ago now. That was Barrage, us, and Vertex versus like Reforged DQ and Barcode on Orc Camp.
okay, but
Yeah,
also
that was
think about
trash, by the way.
That fight wasn't that bad. It
think
was
about
just we
the
got
guilds
stuck with
that
mid
you
distant base, but
named,
that shit was fun as
right?
fuck.
But like, if you think about the guilds that you named and that, like you in your head, like BC Menace, like yes, you could quantify in the top 5, 6, but like everything underneath that, like you're counting on them bringing top 70, or like you're bringing on them or capping with 70, but you're not
It's
counting
no
on
different
them
than what
bringing.
they're gonna
Like,
bring to Siege. It's the same. It's no different.
The wild
but
thing.
you
I
also
didn't cap
like
that
think about
3v3
how you
already.
quantify those teams as siege guilds, right? Like, I think you're thinking more about the bringing 70 people versus what those 70 people bring, right? Because you can bring 50 people that hit gear cap and that are top blah, 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 top whatever percentile, and yes, they perform really well in Nodewar, but those other 30 people that you weren't counting on that day, those people make a really big difference in not only your main goal, but like your special teams can account for them, and then say like your special team doesn't cap, and then like you just have like what 10 to 15 people who aren't technically at a gear standard to meet the other team's ball, but like they're just people to fill the void. So yes, you're capping on 70 people, but you're not capping those 70 people in a way that's significant.
I mean,
You know?
You're saying
it
that
doesn't
you're
matter when you're
bringing
in
a
a
lot of dead
fight.
weight?
Like, you just bring, yeah, you're talking about dead weight, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day of who you're fighting. Your 30 players aren't going to beat Cho's best 30 regardless.
Yeah,
like, you can
like,
cope all you
yeah.
want. You're just going to get your shit ran regardless. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
we
yeah,
we
but,
would
like, if you're
we would see this stuff with like PMA and Turbulence. Well, not so much, mainly PMA, right? Like if PMA was on a 40, it was a way different guild than if PMA was on a 50 or 55.
right. Yes, that's CC would never take a fight with PMA on a 40-man fight, and I'll tell you that straight up, because PMA on a 40-man fucking node is way fucking different than PMA on a 50 to 55-man node,
Yeah.
because the
That's
other 10 to 15
Bitch
people
rate
that are
shit.
coming that weren't accounted for in that 40-man node make the difference. Like it's a completely different ball. Like 10 to 15 people, you don't think it is, but it is. And your caller will tell you that, and your special teams will tell you that, and everyone will tell you that. Is those people that you weren't accounting for in the regular part of your ball, they make a difference in like, especially in like a higher tier
Hello,
guild.
Ham. How
where,
you doing, cutie?
Yes, you expect everyone to perform at a certain perspective, but like fucking ask me and Johnny, bro. The 70 man when we 1v1 against each other on the uncapped T4, it's a different fucking story. You're begging people to come, people who are just online. Like, yes, people will come and people will perform, but like it's a different ball. Like you don't account
Of
for
course,
it.
the larger the node size, the harder it is to like top stack, and of course you're gonna have more attendance issues. But like, if your issue about the number of caps is just like, are those issues? I mean, that is like, I mean, that's a recruitment issue. That's a
Well,
rec
no, and
issue.
I'm not saying that the number issues are a thing in general, but I think that people saying like, oh, a certain cap node or like a certain number
I mean,
player
you're
node
kind of going back to
versus
the
this
talk
or that.
earlier when
I'm
they're
not.
like, well, we shouldn't
I'm not.
have nodes that are smaller than 55 man. I think, like, I mean, there should be an
Mm-hmm.
range of like different caps that guilds can go to because not every guild wants to do 70 man wars, and not
I-
every
I'm not
guild
saying make
should do
everything
70 man
70. I'm
wars.
saying
Yeah.
I
Well-
think remove 100s and remove 40s from it.
Well,
Specifically talking
Well, what would removing
five.
40s do?
I mean,
From
I,
fours
What
and
would removing
fives.
40s
I
do?
would just
So-
say I would say every day you should have a low and a high. You should probably have
Yeah.
anywhere from 40 to 55 to 70 to whatever. Like maybe it's 70 to 100. Or maybe the other high is a 55. So it's either 40 55 or 55 70. I think that would be perfect. A 40 55 or a 55 70 every day. Do you guys agree,
Okay,
disagree with
currently-
that?
Currently, right now,
Right.
Yeah.
most siege guilds, like most of the guilds that
Hello,
we're
Enza.
fighting,
Thank you for the follow.
CC,
Welcome to the
Barcode,
stream.
all those guilds, we're mostly 90% of the time on either a 50 or anything
Mhm.
above a 50, regardless. Like nobody wants to drop to 30s. Nobody wants to drop to 30s and
Yeah.
40s because they're sacrificing members. I see it all the time.
Yeah,
Like
but
you want to do
how
50s.
often does it go over 55, right?
Well,
Like,
I
on
mean,
a
there are a
regular
lot of guilds that do 30s and 40s that don't want to move up.
part of
That's what I'm
so
saying.
it's a self-feeding circle too of the 30 to 40s of there's not as much scene there's not enough players there, and it's too drastic and there's not enough of them. If it's consistent, so like every day there's a 40 or 55, then you could have guilds that specialize in 40 to 55s. The Turbulence Alliance, the PMA Alliance would be a perfect example of that. And then you could also have the 5570s. So if your guild can pull 55, you're included in every fight. But if you want to specialize in 40 to 55, you can. And if you want to specialize in 55 to 70, you can. I don't think it's fair to force people in either, because it's the same thing of like, if you told me if I could only pick 40 or 70, I'm telling you right now, I'm picking 40.
Fuck
And-
you.
Well,
That's
okay.
just a wrong take.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's
This
an
is
opinion
me.
take.
I mean,
It's
I'm picking 40 too.
I-
Yeah, you could be wrong. It's okay.
Well, I wanna ask like a devil
Mm.
advocates question. Because, like we've talked before on this podcast about
Mm-hmm.
getting rid of 150 man alliances altogether, like just going back to the old days when everyone was riding around.
Mhm.
So if you're talking about increasing the caps and making it so 50, 70, 100 mans are the standard, how are you ever expected to cap 100 man war if you want to get
This
rid
is
of
in,
the
this is
150
in
man
reference of
alliance?
not having that
right?
system.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the issue with the 150 man alliance and getting rid of it is it's not a lack of guilds, it's a lack of leadership. People
do agree
don't
with
want to
that.
do leadership roles.
Base.
That's,
I do agree with
that's
that.
the issue.
I-
That's the issue with that.
I think
But-
if I think it's getting better for some reason, but it is I definitely think that is the issue, right? Like I'm not discluding it, I'm just saying it's getting better, because I mean, like we have Static coming up, we have Small Meme Guild, we have Smoked. PMA died, but PMA died for other reasons. I think I might be wrong. Reforge is still semi new. Fate's been around forever for the most part. Vertex has been there. Obi's been there. The rest of them are old.
It's good seeing new guilds like Smoke's been pushing up into 50s and like T3s, and then Fate's been pushing up into 50s and doing more T3 stuff. It's good to see that stuff. Like it's good to see newer guilds coming in the scene regardless. But I'm not saying completely remove 30s and 40s. I just want to get that clear. Like, I just think.
I mean, the reason that the guilds want 30s and 40s is because not everybody wants to war every day, but like when you have those kind of nodes, like a third of your guild basically can go to one of them, and like they can get their node war in for the week, and then they don't feel pressured to necessarily go to every war. Because if you force 70 mans, you're forcing like essentially half your guild to go every single day that you
Hell
war.
yeah, you
And
better
I
war
don't
7
necessarily
days a week.
forcing it since
I don't know. Maybe I'm just
that is-
speaking from our experience because we wore Sunday. We just wore 7 days a week, and we really never have issues capping. Regardless, if we put signups for a 70, we'll usually get close to capping 70, if not get 70.
Yeah.
Regardless of
it's a thing of it allows for guilds who want to do both, and I think that's fair, because I mean, you know this, Artie. If I could war 7 days a week, I would war 7 days a week. Like if it's like within my time span and stuff, because I love
Not
Nodewars.
everybody's like this, though.
But not
Not
everyone
everybody
is like
can,
that, and I
yeah.
understand that. And so I think it's fair to have a balance of each. I mean, because there's two reasons, right? There's the how often do you want a Node War, and there's the how does your class perform in Node Wars? Because I mean, it's quite literally the thing. And I don't think that there. You said that 40s are like ratty. I disagree. I still think it's very main ball oriented. It's just less players.
Damn, you're giving only wrong takes today, Johnny.
Oh, man,
Dank, I
maybe-
swear to
maybe
God,
those 40 are
I
just,
will
a little
mushroom stamp
scared.
you in game. But it's the thing of having both is good, and it also allows for guilds like if Turb and PMA or whatever, or even other guilds try to come up and try to push into the T3, old T3, new T4 brackets, they can with less people. Granted, this recent change is happening in the sense of if you're doing T2s or T1s, you can have 55-man nodes, which is I think also good, right? Like if Alex, or I guess I'm going to use somebody that will actually move up from T1s. If Solus and Eclipse want to move up and they want to try it, or if they have a lot of numbers and they want to prep the numbers for it, they can war on nodes where they can bring their guild like they would in a higher tier without having the expectation of more gear, harder logistics, better guilds. Like it's a way for them to trial that, because I mean, Dank, you can probably claim to this just with Vented. You're calling for your guild is completely different on Illabab, which is a 40, or a 70 man. It's or Siege too.
totally
It's a
different thing,
completely
yeah.
different thing.
Different game, yeah.
No, Mooks, fuck you. I refuse to breathe.
It's a worse game, but yeah.
It's a
Shot
worse.
calling
Yeah,
is an issue in general.
shot call.
A lot of smaller guilds just need better callers with more experience.
True, and which is part of the big issue, right? So if you can have, it takes years to be a good shot caller a lot of the time. I can't name a good shot caller who's been calling for less than 2 years. Like name one. I don't know. I don't think you could.
I mean, I'm pretty damn good.
I haven't heard your calling yet, Ankle. Actually, give me a fucking VOD so I can VOD review it, and I'll tell you if you're good or not.
It usually takes like about a year.
Yeah, maybe a year.
See, you're gonna have to pay me, but nothing's free.
Bruh.
Right?
Okay, I'll pay you I'll get an APOC on a T1 node, and
I mean,
I'll help
it
scout
also
for
matters too, like who you have around you. So like, I'm sure if somebody like walked into like a top 3 guild to learn how to shot call, they could probably pick it up a lot quicker than like somebody that starts in T1.
you. T1s,
right?
that's true. Because
But to be fair, I also have Pax helping me. So Pax has been doing it forever. So it's like, there's a difference there too.
I don't know.
I feel like curious on the like T3 minus not being, or someone said that they're more ratty, but like in my experience, I've always felt like 30-man, 40-man wars are like very, very ball oriented. Like the way that you run your ball, and maybe it's because like
Am I living on a different timeline?
I don't know. I think we are.
I'm in a different timeline.
That's this is my like main question. Like that's why I'm like just trying to see if I'm just
You guys
completely
didn't
wrong.
like T2s, right? Like you guys almost exclusively stopped doing T2s, right?
We have, but we did them in the past, and we experienced them, and we did them, and then we did T2s, T3s. Like we try not to do T3s anymore, but it's the fucking name of the game at this point. But like when we did T2s, especially on like the 40-man, they felt very like you could get shit on by a flex team or whatever, but like at the end of the day, it felt very ball oriented. Like if you fucked up your ball movement, or if you fucked up like a macro with your ball, like that's what gets your base killed faster than like someone coming in and like riding around. Like I understand that the structures are weaker, and
Not the
they can
structures,
die to
just
2
a line can fly in and
So-
kill
But,
10
like,
people. Like
No,
there's
but, like, at the end of the
recov
day,
buffs.
But at the end of the day,
Made
like
it
those
less
1 to 2 people, they're not going to kill your stick, but you mismanaging your ball, that's what is going to get you killed at the end of the day, right? Like you go too far away, or your allies aren't ready to
Or not
peel,
CTGing
or
back to
no,
base.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
see,
or you're
no.
not ready to
Ham coming and killing 10 people
mismanaging
from
your
my main
ball
ball.
Wait,
Ham
sorry,
coming
repeat
in
that?
and killing 10 people from
But
my
that's
main
just
ball
lawn.
is
You
gonna
could do
make
that
them
shit on
I'm
T3s
lagging
too.
fuck.
You could do that on
Yeah, but then
siege caps. Like
But then you're
Really long
sacrificing
for
those 5 to 10
T3
people
cap.
from your ball to defend your base, which yes is a good play in essence. But like if you're trying to go on offense, and if you're trying to make like a tempo play, like missing those 10 people that are defending your base, like that's not the play, right? Because then now you're down to a 20-man main ball. Say you have 5 people in defense, and then you have the 10 people defending your base. Like you're cut in half already with numbers. So then, if you're trying to tempo down a base faster than someone with their entire ball strength comes and backdoors your base, you're just fucked in general.
I think they're more talking about comp though, like the composition of people's balls. Like rat comps are better. Like rat comps with shy buffs and T2s are better than like an actual ball comp with
But why?
casters.
Yeah.
Because
Because they do more
would meta-
damage.
It's just damage.
It's just damage.
Yeah, our
Zerkers
rat
can't
comp
survive. Your
is
front
still
line
very
is
strong.
non-existent. Casters get one
Okay.
shot. So
Okay,
like
yeah, yeah.
like ratty backline
I mean,
divers
that's
are always
it's
going to do
also
better in
macro
T2s
thing,
than
too.
like Zerkers.
So
So
anyone who can survive longer and stay on this stick longer, that's what, okay. Yeah, that's what my whole question was. Like, I wasn't trying to overcome anyone. I was genuinely trying to get like the vibe of the T2s to see like what you guys were talking about. But
Re-
yeah.
Really quick before we continue on to this, is there anything else that we want to talk about when it comes to the G Labs? Because if not, I'm going to take a quick 1-minute iteration and then we're going to go to normal Friday podcast
Yeah,
mode.
bro.
Because I talked to
listen,
people about
I
being...
do got something.
Okay,
I do got something.
I'm ready,
bro.
Tarnished.
All right, listen. All right, I know you guys don't want it to be like T3 plus, but just think about the Minty nerf, right? The nerf to the scripters. That's all you got to think about. It'd be powerful. It would be powerful. I mean, it would be dog shit everywhere else. But like, just imagine these Discord warriors that just sit at
I
their
mean, it
keyboard all
wouldn't stop
day.
anything. You would just
typing.
get zerked regardless.
Oh yeah,
Like,
for
it's
sure.
like-
You would probably get zerked, but like still.
No, never bring this shit to live. Johnny, mute me. I'm gonna become unhinged.
Okay,
You have
what-
to server mute me.
Okay. So we're going to we're going to talk about fights, a little bit more unhinged G Lab changes, and otherwise, I wanted to warn everyone beforehand, so maybe there might be a little drama because I did preference that before this that we're going to be civil. So maybe we get a little rowdy. If anyone wants to dip or anything for that, feel free to. I'm going to mute just for a second. I'm going to use the restroom.
Oh, we're going to talk about what
and,
I think we're going to talk about?
and then we can get a little spicy if you want to, Ankle Break.
I'm ready. I'm taking the gloves off whenever you let me.
All right, I'm gonna deafen Discord real quick. I'm gonna play a little music and use the restroom. I'll be right back, and then we'll take the gloves
I'm
off.
going to Home Depot right now.
All right, hey, I just want to say, make sure whatever you say is Twitch TOS safe. Thank you. We're back. All right, I'm gonna play a little bit of music for you guys. I'm gonna use the restroom super quick, and then we're gonna get into the unhinged shit. So let me go to here. Let me turn this on. All right, we'll be right back. All right, before we get into the unhinged shit, I would like to remind everyone I stream every Friday the Nodewar podcast at 11:15 EST or 15 minutes past Nodewar, and then we do the tier list every single Sunday about the same time, except for this Sunday because we're going to be doing a Labor Day special on Monday because there's some spicy shit cooking up apparently within the scene and changes. So we're going to see some changes. We're going to do a big stream on Monday during the day, so it's not at 3 a.m. like I normally am if people want to tune in then. And I'll be posting that stuff then. So if you're on vacation, you're taking a break, and you want to join into that, feel free to follow if you would like a ping or anything for it. Otherwise, we're going to jump back into the podcast. I appreciate all the follows. Thank you, guys. Also, the tournament that I did talk about is still planned. I'm looking for a shoutcaster. So 1 second.
Yeah, what if I go to sign up for a fucking 70 man? I get bumped to a 40, half my guild gets like yoinked because they can't fucking Nodewar, which they're gonna be fucking pissed.
Should have
as fuck
been
about.
should have been
But-
doing the 40
So
to
Yeah,
begin
and
with.
then-
Cold.
Well,
Yeah, it worked out so well for you guys.
For a day, like they have their pre-made teams. You show
and then
up,
listen.
and then the other side has all of their
No.
allies, and you have nobody. You
No,
just
I don't
lose.
even get to play the game because what if fucking Midnight Claus decides to fucking drop on the node and yoink a spot
Midnight
through
Claus
the
is
lottery
fucking
system,
killing
and now I don't get a
5
node
minutes.
war. That shit is
Yeah, they only
dog
get
shit.
to Node War once a week.
They get the
No-
Node War
no.
once, but it fucks that one.
But it doesn't
Like,
matter. There's
Yeah.
there's still other snipe guilds or like other guilds that are just like less than. Like if I lose my spot to Havoc, like I'm gonna fucking lose my mind, bro. Like this is such a dog shit system. It should never come to higher tiers. It can stay in T1s because of like whatever. Like I'm not in there anymore, so like sucks to suck, I guess. But like
Well, the
this
T1
shit can't come to
needs something, so
pretty
like
high.
that's fine. But like T2 Plus, the raffle system is absolute dog shit.
Yeah, the raffle system and pre-made bases should not come to higher tiers ever.
No.
Or I'm buying a plane ticket to Korea.
Careful, TOS.
Listen,
Wait,
man,
you're gonna play?
I
You're gonna
know a
play?
few
Wait,
names
you're gonna
that
be?
There's,
You're
like,
gonna
some
push
cultured
Challenger
places
in
there,
the
man.
Korean League of Legends solo queue? Shit.
Yeah, dude, I'm going into boot camp, bro.
Hank's kind of good at League, you know.
Bro.
Kind of sick with it. I'm the best Raven player alive.
The best.
Yeah, that's all you
before-
had to say, bro. I already knew. I already knew.
Okay. So now again, reminder: Twitch TO is safe. Please keep it that way. Otherwise, it sounds like you're already ranting about the raffle system being dog shit in your opinion. Dank, is there something
Yeah,
else?
it's trash. The fucking ballista system. Like, why the fuck are we putting ballistas in uncapped without
Also
adjusting like
based.
fucking structure health? Like, dude, do these guilds not realize how fucking strong ballistas are in Siege already? Like, if you leave a ballista unfucked with
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
for
bro.
like a few minutes, you lose your entire base. And now
can-
in uncapped, you're telling me that I have to go fucking push up a hill to go clear CC because they're fucking sitting there like. Never mind, I can't say that. They're fucking chilling, making some s'mores at the top of a hill on a flag with their Ellie and their entire main ball and flex with a fucking ballista, and now I'm just fucked for like the next like 5 minutes. I'm gonna lose my entire base. There's
Did
like,
you guys
very
see?
little
You
can
guys
do
saw
about it.
the Siege ballista buffs, right?
The 1.5 times tankier buff you're talking about?
Yeah, and they do more
Yeah, and
damage
that's the
to
one
walls.
we're getting, right? Yeah. As well into like uncapped, or is that siege only?
I don't know, man.
That's-
I don't work at Pearl Abyss.
It's such a fucking dog shit change, bro.
The
Like
ballista's only in
take
tier
ballistas
4.
out.
You're just a hater, man.
Don't put the ballistas in fucking like normal.
Ballista's
node
only
or
in
siege
tier
walls.
4.
It
No.
is.
only-
Yeah, it's in uncapped, which is like bad. Like what Sagi was saying earlier too with T10s. Bro, you walk out of your fucking base and you walk a render away and a whole guild T10s into your fucking base and now you have to like run like 3 loading screens to go get to your fucking gate. Like this shit is fucking dog shit. It is such a bad change. It is horrible. Why are you putting siege walls
Yes,
in
Facebook.
uncapped and ballistas? Fuck it, bro. Give us the flame tank. I don't care anymore. Let's go.
Give
Send it.
us the flame.
I keep saying that they should
It's
add Mario
crazy.
Party mechanics to Nodewars, bro. Nobody listens.
So
I want a fucking star power up. I'm gonna start running through people.
So are you saying that the ballista is going to be dog shit? Because I'm just trying to like make sure everyone's on the same page for this, for those who might not know as well. Are you saying that the ballista is dog shit because it's just going to absolutely shred bases? Or what's your reason?
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to eat a fuck. It like, dude, I don't know, because there's so many fucking dumbass people in this game that are just like main ball retards that don't actually like play the game, and like they don't understand how strong some of these things are. But like Ballista and Siege is quite literally the most disgusting fucking structure in the game. Like I don't know, it's so fucking good at what it does. Like yeah, if you're like a way stronger guild, for sure it doesn't matter as much. But if 2 similar strength guilds are fighting, it's like nearly impossible to get that shit off of you. And it just like shits on you. It like destroys your whole base. Like good gameplay, good interaction, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
that is a valid argument for it.
Does anyone like the idea of them? I guess.
Ballistas, I am
do,
very
just because I get to hear Angry Dank yelling about ballistas.
I get to hear this every day. I love it.
the big
yeah,
thing
fuck
that
it, what Jackie Felix said, bro. Just fucking put dragons in the game. Let's
Just-
go. Fuck it, why not?
you're just like in the middle of
give us-
Nodewar.
Oh, yeah,
You're in the
let's
middle of
go.
Nodewar and Garmoth just like flies over you and fucking sprays your ball.
add a new guild elephant stuff where you put the ballista on the elephant. Fuck it. Let's get
Oh
crazy.
no, it's just actually running around. That would be
Put
terrifying.
bases on wheels.
Bases on wheels. Let's just get crazy with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, bro.
Yeah,
But
fuck
you,
it, why-
you think
yeah,
about
you
it,
give
bro.
me
Think about the first time you see
dragons.
somebody roll up in their
I have-
mobile base. Huh?
I have a question
It'd
for
be
you. Do you
good
think this
times.
is like their way of like the raffle system and stuff like that might be their way of testing out the new comma stuff?
The
Like
War of the
mechanics
Roses?
for new comma? Yeah.
It might
has to
be.
right? It has to be because nobody asked for this, right? Literally nobody asked for this.
That's I wouldn't agree with that. In a way. So the players have
Blame
consistently
the T1 players.
It's
for
not
bitching.
even. It's not just T1. It's T2 as well. Stares at Fate, Havoc, Xcal, etc. But it was for a long time. There was a lot of rage and complaints about people doing these weird Zerg scripts. Now it's mostly just T1s, which Ankle Break can take off the gloves for if he wants. But people are constantly. I said if you want your Twitch TOS. If it was mainly T1s, or it's mainly T1s now, but people were constantly complaining about that and saying, "Hey, the players need to fix this. The players need to fix this. The players need to fix this," and the players weren't. So I wouldn't be surprised if PA said, "Hey, the players are doing something in the game which is toxic and bad for the game and hurts it." So because the players can't figure their shit out and fix it, which we weren't, to be fair, we're going to step in and try to do so, which is somebody asked for it.
Holy base
The
Pearl
problem is
Abyss.
they don't want to fix it. They say they do. They sit there and they cry all day, but they don't actually want to fix it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing of like...
Well, it's because you have a lot of whiny babies on T1 that don't, like, they can't handle losing. They just sit there and cry their fucking eyes out because they died, and it's like, get over it.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's fine to fix it on T1, T2 minus because yes, those are accounting for newer players. But like on high tier Nodewars, where like none of us asked for this, like why are they punishing veteran players who want to play the game as it's been
All I
and
asked for.
enjoy it? And
All I
then
asked
enjoy it
for,
to a certain point, but like now we're getting punished because the newer players can't figure out their shit and like figure out an honor system. Like it
Well,
just
I
seems
get that, like, for the health of their game, that they're potentially looking into this. And if it's only, like, for T1s with the raffle system, it kind of makes sense, because I'm assuming most of you in here don't know really what the T1 scene is like, and
No.
if Johnny wants, I can go into it a little bit. But
I think that would
Drop on
probably
a
be
node.
best. I love this
Drop
class.
on a node randomly. 7 guilds allied, all hitting
So
you all at
it's
once.
a combination of, like, a lot of these nodes that are popular to fight on have literally like 12 plus forts every week. And you have, obviously in these forts, you have a lot of baby guilds. And then you have the stronger guilds. And you have, mainly right now, you have one side arguing that they need to ally like 7 to 9 guilds because all the strong guilds stack up together. And then the other side is arguing that they're only stacking the stronger guilds because of the Zerg. And then what happens is all these baby guilds, all these beginner players trying to get into Nodewars, just get fucking railed. They get abused no matter which side they're on. It doesn't matter. And you get these fucking idiots just like crying every fucking week because they lost. And it even happens like with, like, when I go to these nodes, I have at least 2 people in my DMs like immediately after the war is over, because it's like, oh, it's unfair because APOC was on your team, or teams were stacked, or like any number of reasons. And it's just like, I've been very vocal recently about like, APOC is just doing these fights for fun. I'm here for content. I do whatever is most fun for my guild. I don't really give a fuck about any of you, to be honest. I'm only nice out of pure courtesy. And none of you fucking messaged me and have the balls to fucking speak to me. So when I show up to a fucking node, if you're gonna fucking sit there and try to zerg me off, what, you want me to just not ally anybody? Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm here for some fucking fights. And if you can't handle it, like, that's too bad. Either suck it up and set something up, or don't cry when I show up to a node and someone asks if I want to be on their fucking team. That's really all I have to say.
That's fair. So the Bearded Bro said, "I know you saw T1 politics last week. Certain people claim that they did not want scripted fights, but then show up when a team is too strong, so they bring 5+ allies. Zergs are going forward." Facebook agreed. You go Lions.
Oh, how are T1 players more annoying than T3 scripters? I don't understand. It's crazy.
Because they constantly say they don't want to script fights, but then they start crying about how like the fights are uneven. So then they start talking about how to balance teams, and then you get into it and it's like they don't want to actually balance teams. Like there's even a
They just
fucking
want their
message in
team to
there saying that
win.
they don't want to do a 6v6 and move the teams around. So it's like, how the fuck are you supposed to like have, like, you can't have a fight if you're not willing to move the fucking guilds. It's like they want there to be a side that's just going to win, but only like I don't know. I don't really know what they want. It's all fucking stupid. I hate the fucking attitudes. No one wants to work together and nobody wants solutions. It's just
Yeah, but I
stupid.
mean, that's
Hey bro,
exactly how the
I'm
T3,
so,
T4 scene is.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that they're making these T1 changes. Just start making it so they can't place.
Well, and
They
I
don't got FTs
completely
anymore.
like
Fuck 'em.
hate them for not wanting scripted PvP. I get that like there was a time period in
They do
BDO
want scripted
just dropped
PvP
and you
though.
just fought whoever. And I
But they
think that's
do want
fine.
scripted PvP
People
is the
could
issue. They
try.
want scripted
You
PvP
try
that
to
they
get
win.
up and have fun. They
Scripted
just create the
PvP is
alliances
fine.
anyway.
Yo.
It's predetermined winners is what's dumb.
Yep, I agree.
Well, that's the problem. Both sides.
There's not enough guilds to not have scripted wars.
Based.
You have to, at this point in the game, you have to reach out
Oh,
to
I thought you did, Ray. My
to
bad.
create fights, right? And that's at least how it is in top tier fights, because there's only a certain number of guilds that can perform at the level that people are expecting to, right? And some fall very low below that, and some fall very high above that. But like at the end of the day, if you want a fight and if you want to be included and not get zerged out in the first 10 minutes, then you have to. There's a certain amount of politics that have to go on, and like it's the fucking name of the game at the end of the day.
One scene
But
up until not that long ago, from my knowledge, there was unscripted PvP, and it was like
right,
you'd have like 12 to 15 forts, and they'd bring like groups of 3, and then you'd have like 5 different teams all fighting each other, and like just random
that's
fights.
fine.
And that's fine, but it sounds
Right,
like
but the issue now
like
is
they kind of
they're
toned in for the
taking
fact
those
that they don't
teams
like
every
them.
war, and they're creating like giga alliances on each side, and they're all like upset whenever they
Now you make the
lose.
anti-Zerg alliance.
Right.
It's Dauntless K all over again.
Because like if
I
you think
hate
about
Black
it, like,
Desert Online.
I love
Let's
Black
go,
Desert
baby.
Online.
Let's go.
Trust me, if you saw some of the fucking things that I've had to deal with recently behind closed doors with messages, you'd contract some sort of fucking terminal illness.
Probably was just go to the
I just
regular
start saying
broadcast.
unspeakable things in DMs. I
I have
respect you.
acquired. I mean, this is how BDO has been for the longest time, and there's been changes throughout that have always happened because of this. So the last time this happened, to my recollection, was the Dauntless K incident, and I'm gonna be a little bit blurry minded on this because I was just coming back to the game and joined a guild that was in the middle of the Dauntless K movement. I did not know, not my fault. It was like, what's happening? Why is this happening? But when somebody is going to do cringe perma alliances or whatever, somebody else is going to bring people, and it's definitely roll once back in. It's definitely going to be the case of if somebody is doing this, they're either on some weird cringe politics shit, or they're doing it because somebody is way over vastly powered. So there's 2 incidents. The first one is Mains 2021. Era was a guild at T1s in the time, and they shit stomped everyone really fucking quickly. They were so strong, it was unethical, and so Mains 2021 was 13v2. It was Era and their ally Havoc versus the entire node, and they died in 5 minutes, which is, and then I think Era died the week after or something like that, which is how it should be, because they refused to move up to T2 plus. Or in the Dauntless K incident, what was it? Flare Me and Abyssal were Flare Me and Dauntless were allied at the time, or were they allied yet? They weren't allied, right? They were just like soft allies, not
There were separate guilds.
separate guilds. Okay, they were
Gearless
soft
is with them
allies.
too. Fuck you, dogs.
Who was all part of the alliance? You would know more than anyone, Dank.
It was Gearless, Flare Me, and Dauntless at the time.
Okay, and then Nerds.
Yeah, and then Nerds was their like dog guild.
Was their baby that they brought along? Yeah, because I joined Nerds when I came back to the game, and I was like, who and what is happening? Why are we getting zerged? And why does everyone hate all of these guilds? So
I mean, that's kind of what I've been trying to avoid
Mhm.
because I think you kind of mentioned it earlier. Like, I could just pick another strong guild that's willing to do this with me, and I could be like, okay, we're doing T1s this week because we kind of do whatever right now. Like last week we did T2s. This week might do T1s, might not. Right? I don't know yet, but it's like I could just come to this fight like on Wolf Hills every Friday night and just be like, okay, I want this, and it's just done, right? Like, but I've been trying very nice to trying very hard to be nice to like prevent that because I know it's not fun to just get ran over, and I'm not here to like create problems, but it's getting to the point where it's like guilds either need to figure it out in some way, or I'm just gonna be like, well, tough luck. Because I only have so much patience
Ankle break
for it,
gonna
and-
start getting violent.
You're
bro.
gonna get violent in the
I
DMs.
am gonna. Johnny, I swear to God, I was like that last night. There was a point last night where I almost just said, "Fuck you, good luck."
I mean, historically, though, you guys will be the guilds that die off or like leave the scene. Right?
Well,
it's
there's
strong guilds either
there's
die
nothing
off
to kill
or
off
they
in
leave the scene.
APOG. APOG only does these for fun, so it's
APOC
like I'm
isn't
not
gonna die,
here to
bro.
war every day.
They gained
So it's
members
like-
after they went casual.
I
We
feel like
actually
that's
have
also
like a longer wait list right now than we did before we were serious. So
I
there's
feel
that.
like that's like some of the issue though is because like APOC came from higher tier wars where politics were kind of the norm. So you guys
Thank you,
understand
Ketcho,
like,
for the follow.
benefits
Welcome. I
of-
appreciate
the
it.
benefits and the cons
Well,
of
and that's
doing
why like I tell
politics
everyone it's
and
like I don't
law.
mind doing a
But, like,
4v9.
Right, but also like these T1 guilds who like they're making these alliances because they don't want to get zerged out, which is understandable, but they don't understand the potential of what actual politics does
But
and
what?
like how
No,
it
so they
can
don't.
help
It's not that
them.
they don't want to get
And
zerged
that's why
out.
they'll
It's
always be T1 guilds. No?
Well, they
it has
don't
nothing to do with
put
getting
in any
zerged.
effort.
They
to
just don't want to
balance
get shit
teams.
stomped by someone that is like 10 times stronger than them.
Right,
yeah,
which is why I'm not just like bringing like strong as fuck allies.
hold
every
up.
day and just being like,
I'm
"Oh,
in
you all die
Berserk.
now."
I'm in Berserk, a T1 guild, and literally the guild that he's talking about, Invictus, has no issue 3v1ing Berserk on a frequent basis on Tuesdays. But they'll cry when something else happens. So I don't even want to hear about Invictus. I don't care. Like,
I mean, we weren't even talking about that before, but
I mean, like,
no, I know, but
as far as
this is in
Invictus
regards
goes,
to.
Logical and Blargo have like I've told them like if they want to work with APOC, all they have to do is message me, and we have not.
Oh, it's logical.
within at
No
least
wonder,
over
bro.
a month.
That explains so much.
Well, we haven't worked anything out in at least over a month to like in any sort of capacity, which is fine. They don't have to work with me, but if I show up to a node and then like less than an hour prior to us going to the node, I get messaged and I'm told like, hey, there's teams here. We only have 2 guilds or we only have 3 guilds, and like these
That's not
other
your problem.
teams are like, like you're just gonna get zerged out. Like if you don't join us, I'm like, yeah, like of course I'm gonna join somebody. Like I'm not gonna sit there and just be like, sorry, APOC, today we get fucking 13v1, tough shit. Like of course I'm gonna throw us into a fight. Is it unfair a little bit to the other side? It could be, but like if nobody worked out fights prior because you don't want scripted fights, that's the risk that you run. And I'm also not taking these nodes either. I'm always handing them off. So somebody other than us always benefits in some way. And it's not like I do them every day either. I just think it's ridiculous to like fucking sit there and cry when you basically took no steps to avoid it. But
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like Stray. When Stray dropped on T1s for a bit, they would wipe everybody out off the fucking node, and then they would hand the node off to whoever was left. They'd save 1 guild, and that was it. And walk off. They just wanted fights. That was it. And you can't fault someone for not wanting fights. It is what it is.
But you also can't fault the community for wanting to have like a somewhat fair fight and just getting like shun.
I agree. Which is what I brought up earlier. Invictus trying to 3v1 us on Tuesdays and then cry about APOC coming in on Friday.
Bro, they should. Bro, T1s were a mistake.
I
They should just remove that
I don't
shit.
get it.
Who said that?
I did.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Hell
Hey,
yeah,
I
bro.
honestly, I don't know if getting a hell yeah, brother, from Dr. Creeper is it. But listen, all right, think about it, right? They just make every node uncapped again and just say, fuck it, get gear.
Get
Because
gear.
I mean, to be honest, getting gear is so easy now. Just tap, like, pen accessories.
Yeah,
Just
Terrible advice. Stop it. It
Let's
just
be honest,
goes.
T1s are fine.
They did, bro.
The issue with
Listen, I've never
T1s
not one tapped a pen accessory. Every single accessory I've tapped is gone.
Just tap it, forehead. It either goes or it doesn't, and it just should go.
Hot fucking take.
Yeah,
Nah,
definitely
but
not
even
0-42
no,
on
listen,
belts right
listen.
now.
As soon but actually, real shit. As soon as this Cyclops update comes out, every single fucking Penac accessory is gonna be sitting at like 100 bill. I'm so dead. God damn it. I love Tristana. Anyway, yeah, every single Penac accessory is gonna be like 100 bill, and they're increasing the trash loot at Gyphins again. I don't know if y'all peeped that.
Yeah, it's going
Again?
from 5 to 7. Yeah, it's going 5 to
Yeah.
7 now.
When did they? Was that one of the recent changes that they made?
No, it went
It's
to
in
4 to.
global app.
It went 4 to what is it? 4 to 6 right now, and then it's going 5 to 7.
Yeah, and then Agris is going up from like 9 to 12, I think.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild. I mean,
Oh, I'm saying, bro.
Oh, it's
They're
upper
literally,
Gyphin,
they're just,
okay.
bro. They're, it don't
Yeah, it's
matter. They
upper
just
guys,
print.
they're not lower.
Hey, but
I
they're
mean, upper's
printing
still
money.
broken as
yeah,
is right now. It's a fill an hour, but-
yeah, regardless, they're printing money into the account. Like they are making it so easy to get gear. They don't need caps anymore. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't agree
So,
with the one
I wanna.
pen,
I'm just
but
gonna address
it's
something
so
real
easy to
quick,
get money in the
Johnny,
game.
if you don't mind.
I mean, even Vented does uncap now.
I couldn't catch what you said.
Excuse me.
I say I have something that I'll address real quick because there was some talk in your Twitch chat. APOC, first of all, Bits, that's not why APOC retired, and I've been in here about half a year. So I mean, if you want to open your mouth and run something by me, I'll send you my Discord.
If you
I
don't
love
know shit
talking
about
shit about
APOC, you should
APOC.
talk about APOC. Honestly, it's
What
kind
was
of
the reason Bit said I must? Oh, it's wait. What was the reason they stopped sieging after what?
Calpheon Siege. Some
He
3v3.
says we stopped. He said we disbanded because we got farmed after a Calpheon siege. I mean, if he
What
wants
was the
to
fight?
run his
What was that
mouth,
fight
I'm
again?
more than happy to do it in
Months
voice
ago.
because that's definitely not why we disbanded. But
no. There was
a
that one. It
disband
was
is
like
kind of
APOC.
a bold term to use when we still have, we only lost like maybe 10 players. But
I'm just saying,
Johnny,
ankle
it was
break.
like
You have to
APOC's
either
last
close doors on a win,
lockdown.
or it was because of some bullshit that you closed, not because you any other reason
I
possible.
understand. I just think it's fun. So
Yeah.
that's all.
No,
If
I'm.
he wants to banter
I
with
mean,
me,
that's
I'm
what
all
BDO is
for
always
it.
going to be like, right? Like, if you do a 3v3, you have to shit stomp, and if you don't shit stomp, you quit because you didn't shit stomp because you're bad.
Wait, but didn't APOC retire after holding a castle, or am I?
I thought
is my
APOC
history
died
fucked
after
up?
the Balanos one. Or not died,
No,
but retired
no.
after the Balanos. Pretty sure it was after that
No,
Balanos
because
one. But then
APOC had a
Yeah,
castle,
Balanos was
and
the
then I
last
think they
one that
lost
we
the
went
castle.
to. We were at a Balanos siege.
Because I
know,
remember
'cause I
APOC
heard
having a
them there.
castle, and then they stick to the castle, and then like 2 days later they put the announcement out that they're done.
APOC's been
I feel like
was
that's what
retiring for a
happened.
full year. It was just a slow
Rest in
retire.
peace,
It
APOC.
was just
Well,
a
yeah,
slow
yeah.
retirement.
Like,
True.
they were slowly dying, but like for their official announcement, like they held a castle, they stick to the castle, and then like 3 days later they put the announcement out that they were done, and like Noah was like, I'm out.
I mean,
and
as far as
everyone was
I'm
like, okay.
concerned, our guild is in like an extremely healthy spot. Most people have fun. Like we do whatever we want. We don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah,
kinda is
like
what it is
and
at
I
this
think
point.
APOC was in that spot for a really long time. Like you see fucking people in Noto and fucking all over, and you're like, wait, they're in APOC, and you're like, they'll fucking shit. They'll shit on you all day, and they just don't. You don't see them in Nodewar and sieges, but like it's not like they're in a bad spot. Like I don't know. I feel like people shitting on APOC is a weird take, but maybe that's just me.
So Rahab, you're talking about APOC still being in T1s. the reason you guys are doing T1s is because you're casually Nodewaring. You don't have like big leadership or anything like that. Really, it's like you and what, maybe a person or two every once a. You guys only war once a week.
I mean, it's usually like Pax and I at every war, and sometimes Noah's there as well. Like it's still everybody. No one stopped.
Okay.
No one stopped playing. We just don't take them seriously anymore. Like
And-
we show up and like we just try our best to have fun. It's not like we're there to take nodes. Like we only take nodes like every once in a while because like, oh, we want war shop or we want like some sort of payout or like it's not like we only do T1s either. Like we've done just as many T2 plus as T1s since we retired. Like I mean, we own a T2 right now. We did a fight last week. But like we're just not serious about it where it's like, oh, we got to be one of the top guilds. It's like it's literally we do them for fun.
So Rehab said they want to fight shit or sick. So do you think, Rehab, and I'm asking you this because you're the one bringing it up, do you think that if a player is good or if a guild is good or has a history that they're not allowed to fight in anything besides the top percentage? So this is to me the same argument of like skill-based matchmaking, that if I am a top 1% player, I should only be allowed to fight top 1% players, never shitters. Do you think that's the case and how it should be, or do you think it's a thing of you shouldn't fight outside your tier ever, no matter what? Because the big issue with skill-based matchmaking is if I want to get drunk and to get casual as a top 1% player, I'm going to get shit farmed because, you know, I'm fighting the same people and they're expecting me to perform at A level, but I'm not an A player at that time. No, they should move up if you're completely farming the guilds you're fighting, is what he said. Okay. Crazy how
chose T6s then.
crazy how
True.
a bunch of T1 players always end up doing T1s for fun. People end up shitting on them. That's true. What did somebody say? Somebody spoke up and said something in here.
Oh, I was
About
making a joke saying
T1s?
Cho should put T6s then.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, in the same like level of speaking, Cho should never do a T2. Because the difference between T2 guilds and T3 guilds is fucking disgusting, right? Like, are you telling me Cho is anywhere close to the same level as a guild like Eclipse or Solus or Chinook? I mean, like, holy fuck, I'm gonna die in RBF to show this. We had 20 where is it? Here it is. We have 32 fucking guilds right now doing T2 plus. It was updated this week. 32. Look how many are in F
but
tier.
most of the time they do get flamed for that.
Half
I
of
don't know
them
why
are
you're acting
30
like
mans
they
though.
don't.
So Cho can get flamed for that, which is fine. You know, if Cho's like, I don't care. But Cho is the one flaming APOC for doing the same thing, right? It's being a hypocrite.
Well, yeah, but they're only doing it because they don't like them. They're not doing it because they actually think it's wrong. They're just playing
okay.
it 'cause they don't like them.
I mean, I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole and get myself in trouble, but all I'm saying is if you know what Nodewar I'm talking about, the Calpheon T2 30 the 1 week, you were there and you know who we almost killed with the teams that we had, I don't think you'd be talking in the chat right now. That's all I'm about to say.
Go versus APOC 1v1, one last ride.
One ride.
Like arcades.
Let's do it on a T1
Holy shit.
intermediate. Let's go.
T1 intermediate show versus APOC, bro. Holy shit.
I mean, all I'm saying is we fought Cho the other week.
On a
And
T2?
I have on a T2 30 man, and I have one of the cleanest blue feeds I've ever clipped. So
shit.
Hey, shit. I think it's gotta happen now. Run it.
Did you win or lose though?
Bro, run it. Just clear the node.
Well,
Cho versus APOC. 1v1 on a T130, man.
All right,
Winner takes all.
I'm just saying, if you guys end up doing that, please get me in the APOC fight so that way I can just witness 2v12 and the two-side win. That's all I want to care about. I don't care about the rest. I'll drop guild so you can have somebody else dress up for the actual Cho fight.
If people want to set up like a big T1 preset, they know who to message.
Hey, I'm also murking. No, we're just gonna have two murks. You're in digital. Actually, okay. I think that would be funny.
All banter aside, I genuinely don't give a fuck what people say. Like I play the game, I have fun, and my guild has fun. So if you're salty about that, I mean, too bad. So,
I'm just having fun in Johnny's chat, bro. He's fucking.
Bro, can my jungler do anything?
No, not allowed. So
Yeah.
outside of a lot of the T1 drama, Dank, do you have any unhinged shit to say about the G-Lab changes? Like, I think you've been itching to do so. I feel like your muzzle got removed and then you just kind of sat quiet.
I mean, I got it out of my system. I don't know. They just a lot of those changes are really bad. Like, I'm glad that they're doing changes because, like what Soggy said earlier, changes
are changes.
Changes are changes. It'll at least make it interesting. Just fucking please, God, please revert them if they're dog shit. If you leave it dog shit like you left T1's dog shit for so many fucking months, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind, bro. If I have to go, I'm just starting to like Uncapped because I have fucking DP gear now. It's fun, okay? But if we have to sit through like 6 months of it being dog shit, I'm never going to Uncapped again.
I will say that is the big thing, right? Like change and change is good as long as when they do fuckies, they need to revert it really quick.
Revert it and in a timely fucking manner, okay, dickheads? If we're all telling you it sucks, don't wait 2 weeks to get more fucking data because I'm just gonna fucking lose my mind, bro.
I mean, even a week or two wouldn't be bad, right? Like it takes a week or two to get used to things, but like more than that, you need to.
Bro, in like 1 week, we all told them. Do you not remember when they first implemented the caps? Everyone said the first week, hey, T2's way too much damage. And they did like a tiny little baby bump to like the fucking tankiness. And then they didn't touch it again, even though we fucking begged them for months to change it again. And they just never did it until just now. And now is when they've redone the caps again, right? Where they've made adjustments. So I don't know. Listen, stop stealing fucking paychecks. Come out with updates for your fucking game, okay? You're gonna make me pay for all these fucking buffs and all this cringe shit every month? Stop stealing paychecks.
Fair enough.
What else dumb shit is
Johnny,
there?
I gotta go.
All good, Royal. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, no
Buff
problem.
Drac meta. Let's go, baby.
Buff Drac meta.
Buff Drac meta. Let's bring it back. Fuck this range meta bullshit. This shit fucking sucks, bro.
Yeah, Suck Drac will put an end to the range meta real quick.
Hell
Bring it back.
yeah. Yes, sir.
True.
Suck Drac meta was lit. It was just all mooses and Dracs.
Oh no, not mooses, bro. Please. I will say though that would be nice for a warrior because then I can just grab idiots all the time. But other than that,
it was the best meta.
Aren't you an archer
had
now?
a ball fight.
No.
Will be a warrior for the rest of his goddamn life.
Yup, and I will be miserable doing so. I will gladly be miserable doing so.
Give it up, honestly, at this point. It's over.
I refuse. Buff warrior. You hear that, corruption? Buff warrior, thank you. And then buff awaken mystic, right, Artie?
I think
Yes,
we need
Buff
Leader
Awaken
to stay
Mystic.
back, honestly.
Yeah. See, look at this one right there.
There's one right there.
Johnny, tell me how fucking Warrior is the least loved class in this game right now, but I just got an ad on Instagram saying, have you played Awakened Warrior? Have you taken the fucking oath to become Awakened on
It's
Warrior?
all
I'm like,
memes. We're actually the
"No,
most
like, I
powerful
convinced
class
people
on
to
the
just game
game,
on
and we need
Awakened Warrior.
characters really badly.
Oh, you guys get sidetracked a lot, huh?
Yeah, that happens a lot.
It happens.
Especially when Quancy's been drinking.
Imagine having a brain, that's crazy.
I couldn't interrupt it. All right,
We're
I mean,
over here in RBF on the Nodewar podcast. That's crazy.
I mean, listen, what do you want me to stare at the tier list all day? I don't know. I think
checked out. We could be having a nice conversation.
Six
But no.
RBF.
could be.
I mean, I guess
No,
I'm playing League, so I can't talk shit.
a lot of that though was Ankle Break talking about a lot of the T1 stuff, and I'm listening to it. And I was trying to move on to the next one. No, you good.
Johnny thinks that T1s are dog shit and should be removed.
Yeah, he
from the
doesn't
game.
actually like the community. How
Hey,
sad.
thumbs up to remove T1. Bro, listen,
Thumbs
bro.
up
I'm
to-
actually dead serious. Getting gear is so easy now. Like, honestly, they could remove cat
I
at this
swear to
point.
God, if you say just tap it, I'm gonna fucking.
No, even subtracting just tap it, right? Like Omnis, right? Actually, here, hold up. I'm actually on BDO. Rare tarnished
Okay.
on BDO moment.
So okay,
Alright.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think like getting to the entry level right now to get into uncapped would be 680, but like it still doesn't feel good, regardless.
Ooh, 680.
Never mind, my BDO
that's
crashed
rough.
No.
for opening the central
That's
market.
rough.
I mean, it doesn't feel good, but I mean, it's entry level. Like When I started going into uncapped, I was 620. But
I
that
went
was
in at
I think the
630.
class you play too, right? If you're like a very heavy SA class, 680.
Bro, I bet you if they pulled up that gear score average chart now though, that all those lost art players are gone, I bet you the average is like 670 now.
probably 670, 680, somewhere around there.
Yeah, bro.
Did that chart?
Fuck
Did that
this capped content.
include people that actually actively play the game, or just people that have logged
Everyone
into
that
the
has
game?
ever made a BDO account ever in their entire lives.
Yeah, so there's going to be people
that's
from
pretty
2016 who
stupid.
bought the game, said, I don't like this, and then closed it, never launched it again.
None of those people are actually in the
True.
system
Well,
anymore.
probably
Oh,
not,
yeah,
but
you're
I
right
didn't
with the
get my
Cacao
dude.
merger. I forgot about that.
But even if it's like people that just like log on and play for like an hour on like
Yeah,
the
I don't,
weekends,
I'm gonna be honest, like, I don't know, this might be me because I'm getting more gear now, but like, I don't know, man. It's just, it feels like pretty dumb that almost every single fight is capped.
I would agree.
Especially
point.
because it's like my thing is like the meta, like it's cool, I guess, that the metas are so different on the different caps, but it's like my class feels completely different on a T1 than it does on a T2. It feels way different on T3s and it feels different on T4s.
Okay, so like I think the fuck up with the cap thing is a good idea. Having like caps where they can like work people up to doing higher tier content. I think the issue being is they did it too drastic and they needed to streamline it.
Yeah, you feel different on too many caps. There is too much like change between them.
Like playing like the difference between playing like I guess I'll use Awakened Wizard as an example because it's a class that I have like a decent amount of time on at this point. Like I play Awakened Wizard on T2s and I literally have to click entirely different buttons because of how squishy I am and how much like I do more damage obviously, but I'm way more squishy. And then like on T3s, I have a whole different combo, and on T4s, if I'm running like DP meme or whatever, like it's completely different. And then on T1s, you just don't do any damage. It's so weird. It's like you're like, I don't know, Johnny probably fucking feels it too. Like everybody that actually knows how to play their class and like plays the game can probably attest to the fact that if you know your class enough, you're playing your class completely differently depending on what tier
Well,
you're
it's like
on. Not to mention you need to
struggle in T2s regardless.
Yeah, and I mean, not to
Except
mention,
Warrior.
like, you need different buffs for, like, T3s and uncapped and T2s. Like, if you're running a meal rotation on T2s, you're inting, but, like, there's a certain meal rotation to run on T3s, and then on T4s, you're running a different one. It's just fucking AIDS.
I've said this. I mean, I've said this for a long time. It should just be T1, T2, T3. It should be T1, which is Tavalla, T2, which is like 660, 670, and then T3 is uncapped. Just have it that way.
Yeah, in a perfect world.
Yeah.
But the way they should have done it now is they should have made Balanos like caps, T1 intermediate. Get rid of T1 beginner altogether. Just do T1 intermediate. Because from what I'm understanding, nobody does T1 beginners for the most part, outside of like
the only time they do T1 beginners right now, well, it's because there's like more nodes and there's better nodes on beginners, which is what feels like ass currently. But they're rotating the nodes and they're adding more intermediates.
Wait, are they removing health degradation from T1s? Is that in that big thing?
Nope.
No.
Pearl Abyss hates all of you T1 players. I just hope you know
they
that.
say, hey, T1 players, we understand that there's a
Now
lot
they're
of you. You guys are coming into the game, but
I think
fuck
they
you.
understand. I think they understand if they removed it. I think a lot of people would just go back to T1s. But
I think they know that if they removed it, it would probably brick half of their game at this
Yeah.
point. It's
I
so
think half the-
entrenched. It's so
I think a lot
entrenched
of
in the code.
Ah, fuck. Well, I mean,
either way, I think
They remove health degradation in fucking T1s, and suddenly like you queue up for AOS and there's 7 people on your team or some shit, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's 7 people. the big thing with the health I can't say the word. Somebody else say it for me, please.
Degradation.
Thank you. The drunk lady has to say it for me. Because I can't
Thank you.
English. Yeah. If you just change it so that it's static, like even if it's static at 5k, because you don't want it to be uncapped, because otherwise APOC's gonna have 3 to 4 times the health everyone else does, and that's not fair for Tavalla.
HP is also easy as fuck to get now.
Yeah, to a point. But anyways, off of that, it would just make it so much easier to balance the stats too, because you don't gotta worry about how tanky people are at the start or the end, because it's static. Like, how are you balancing T1 beginners? Are you balancing it off of 2,500 health or at 5k health? Because that's a completely different game.
Doesn't matter. You do the same amount of damage regardless.
No.
You definitely do. Like, no, bro, it is. I swear to God, man. I don't know. Maybe we gotta find an empty T1 node and just like test that shit out.
Yeah,
Because...
I mean, we could. I can go more in depth and try and test that, but like from my experience, I don't know, man. That's a pretty bold
Also, why the
statement.
fuck can you Misty Haze forts? PA, get on that shit. Like, what are you guys doing? The fuck? Why can you stack Misty Haze on forts and just burn them in 3 seconds? Like, come on, guys.
It's a monster, didn't you know? It counts as a mob.
Everything in the game counts as a mob, but still. That's terrible. That's terrible game design.
Remove shy is the answer.
Remove shy. Actually, yes.
yeah.
Just remove shy.
No, it's their
Well,
favorite.
let's play
It appeals. It appeals to a certain demographic that they're trying to appeal to.
It's not their favorite. I can tell you that. Otherwise, they would be able to have the ability to tag their awakened weapon.
Nerf shy, yeah. 100% T1 at 5k health, you deal more damage than you do at 2.5k health. That's something that I've always been on for a long time. Is I swear to God, if like at 5k health, Gravedigg might do 1500, and at 2500 it does less.
I've been trying to tell people that the damage in BDO is percent max health based.
I think some of it is. I would agree with that.
Fire, bro, it's not cap. It's because your class is broken.
Like caster.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Getting buffed.
Yeah, play caster.
players.
Yeah, caster.
Caster players when their fucking class doesn't one-shot somebody with every single ability.
Right.
My class does no damage.
Caster on T3 versus caster on T4s is just the biggest like gap in between classes that class changes that I've ever seen,
That's
right?
what I'm talking about though, right? Like it's like your class is completely different depending on what caps you're on, and it's super terrible for balancing the game because if you like let's say you like make a change, like let's say, okay, for example, right, this isn't like an actual thing, but like let's say Drac was having like a really big issue staying alive and uncapped, right? But for whatever reason, and they decided to like buff its healing. Imagine in like T3s, it would just be actually unkillable. It's like the damage needs to be kind of either they need to remove caps, which I'm in favor of, or they need to like somehow find a way to standardize the damage between like the caps.
Can I ask like kind of a base question though? Like between T3 and T4s, like do you think that it helps with balance? I know it's all scripted fights, but like do you think it helps with the balancing at all, right? Where it's like, you know, there's like a certain point where it's like CC and BC, like there becomes a gap on T4s, but like T3s, I would say that we're very similar. Corrupt is like slightly higher than the two of us, right? But like when it comes to capped wars, yes, it matters, but it matters more how you play your ball than if you're just gear carried.
So it's like the difference.
But it's
between,
like I mean
more...
a gear carry play, like take me for example, right? Like I go on T4s, I have a decent amount of gear, I do a lot of damage, I'm still bad. Like gear only carries you so far, right? Like obviously, like some guilds have more gear than others.
I was
and
so
that's
confused.
Just, like,
I just stared at Larry. I was like, "What is he doing?" Vanilla Gorilla. Thank you for the follow.
Obviously, and it obviously depending on what guilds you're fighting, like that gap could be like not overcomable. But at this point, I feel like gear isn't that big of an issue, man. Like I feel like it's pretty easy to get gear.
There's some guilds where like it's enough of a disparity where like I know what you're saying is like most of the people in here are in the top percentiles where like yes, it doesn't really matter, but like there's other guilds where like they take 630, 650, 660 players, and the capped wars help them because they have like they're really good players, but they don't have the gear to back it up, right? So like they can play their asses off, but they can't beat a fucking 740 gear score player at the end of the day. So while the cap is annoying, like, and this is just me playing devil's advocate, like the cap is annoying, but it also helps bring that disparity down a little bit, and like it's
but then
more
what's the I guess like but then like it's like at a certain point it's like I mean if every fight in the game is capped, then they're disincentivizing players that want to PvP from actually progressing their gear, which is a big part of the game.
Yeah.
Which I think but like
I feel like it's kind of like a sweet middle ground, right? Where it's like people who are 680 pushing 700, they can't. They at the end of the day, you can be a 740 gear score player, but you have to be fucking playing your ass off and on top of your game and blah blah. Blah. But like a 740 gear score player can one shot those 680 players. So it's like a kind of a sweet middle ground where like you're pushing your gear, but you're not quite there yet, and then you can make it into those middle tier guilds who.
I mean, I could
accepting
say the
those
same thing about capped content though. Like I can afford to run an elixir rotation deep sea every single capped war when some of the guilds that we're fighting can't. What's the difference?
Like, how would you feel like if
There's a
they
giant
introduced, like,
giant
Mon-Thurs
disparity between
at
somebody
7
running an
much
elixir
higher?
rotation, running around with 9k health and T3s, than a guild like Fate, where most of them are running giant struts and deep seas that they got from medals last war.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Like,
big
what if
argument
they
of.
put in a cap at like 720 gear score?
Well, yeah, and
That?
that's
Well-
I'm not saying like that's not an issue, but like it does help. It helps close that gap a little bit, right? Like at the end, like if you're
I mean,
thinking about
it closes it a little bit, but honestly, I could say with like 100% certainty that like a guild like Cho or Digi or Corrupt could take their bottom end and probably still shit stomp some of these other guilds. That might be a player skill issue
But
as
that's
well,
what we're
but
not
it's just
saying.
like
That is
they have
100%
more
player
HP, they
skill.
have more raw stats, but it's still like a thing in capped.
But
Like
that's
you're
not what I'm
still
talking
gear
about.
checking players in
I'm talking about,
capped.
like mid-tier guilds where it's like, sorry, where it's
Like who? Like
EQ,
Vented and
like EQ vented, like BC, CC, like there's still certain points in time where like there's sections of our balls that can benefit highly from doing capped content because like we're still taking in players who we are working towards higher gear, but like they're not at a point where they can just fucking ball fight Corrupt.
I mean, yeah, I think capped
you
content
know what I'm
does have a
saying?
place. Yeah, I think capped content does have a place in this game. But I would also argue that I think capped probably is more negative because it also invalidates a lot of classes.
I think so too.
Like you
And
can't
I'm
play
not-
Mystic
I'm
in
not
capped.
saying-
You
yeah,
can't
I'm not
play
saying,
Mystic
like,
in capped.
Mystic,
Shy is
Shy,
miserable.
yeah.
Shy is miserable in capped.
Yeah, I'm a shy player. Like, trust me, I fucking understand it. But that's why I'm not saying like the entire game should be cap content because, like, trust me, I understand that veteran players are being punished for
Having gear, playing the game.
trying to promote. Yeah, for trying to promote new players coming into the game. Blah blah blah. Like, I understand that that's a part of what PA is trying to do. I'm just wondering that like once you get to the higher sets and like you can't be in Cho Digi Corrupt or CCBC like those high super high end tier guilds, but you're close enough that you are able to semi start doing uncapped content, but like you still need kind of the cushion
I
of doing
think
capped
a good
content.
way
Like,
I think the good way to do
saying?
that would honestly just be to like Nodewar rental sets. They already have it in like BA and shit, and you can bring it into RBF.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
I think like a note.
But then at that point, it's just capped content because everyone has the same gear.
What?
No.
Hold on,
You
let me-
can bring your own gear, but if you're like a fucking gearlet or whatever, you can bring a Nodewar rental set that's like 700
Yeah,
gear score or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the idea the idea that I had is expanded upon the idea that Desik told me. But basically what it would be is in the Nodewar shop, just like you can rent the Solaire costume for Siege, an hour before war you'd be able to rent a gear set that would work only for Nodewar. And maybe like 700 gear scores, 690, wherever we want to put it, right? I don't care about where the number is for the sake of this argument. There's three variations. There's a DP meme for Shies and Collars. There's a evasion set for gauntlets and stuff. And then there'd be a standard DR set or something like that, right? Maybe even a fourth set for like range classes. And this would allow... I don't think he's as much of a gearlet as he used to be. I'm gonna use Lewin, right? Lewin just hit T3 caps, right? But he's been playing forever. He would be able to use that set either permanently because it's at a level that it would allow him to compete if he's a good enough player, big if. But it's also the thing of if he wanted to use it temporarily while he went and got gear score to gain an advantage, he would be able to, right? Because if I was fighting a warrior that had that gear set on, I would have an advantage because I have over 700, as it should. But whether he is actually 590 or whether he is 680, he is still able to compete, which is the important thing. I think
I
that
like
would
that.
be the best system, and then uncap everything. And
Yeah,
then
Or
you,
they
I
could,
like
or they could just make capped like a gear score number, and you could min max it how you want. Like that would be cool too. But you know, like your sheet AP DP cannot exceed X amount or whatever.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
just get to
so
a point where
for
you
the
wouldn't be able to kill a DP shy and cap.
for those saying it makes
Retarded.
for those saying that it makes gearing pointless, you're absolutely wrong, and I just told you why on the fact that if you want to get gear, you get an advantage. That's the point, right? If you want to get it, you can, and it would give you an advantage. If I have more DP meme as a caller or a shy, you're tankier. If I get more evasion as a gauntlet, you're tankier. If I get more gear as a DR class, you get more whatever. You can still use gear as a progression tool, but it lowers the barrier to entry. Because even if we want to say that the grinding and progressing has gotten better, which I incredibly agree with, absolutely agree with, it still takes hundreds of hours to hit 700 plus. And I think there
So
should
it
be an
sounds like
option
you're
for those who absolutely distaste PvE, stares at Lewin and others. But I think it should also be a thing of, if for those who enjoy that part of the game, and a large part of the game is progression, should be rewarded as such. This should meet both parties happily, and that you want to be like Lewin and say everything should be completely capped in every way, shape, and format, in which case, shut the fuck up, you don't get an opinion.
Yeah, it sounds like basically you're saying is like make uncapped have a minimum, right? So like you need to be minimum 690 gear score to be in a competitive outcome for your gear score, but the people of higher gear score are not punished for not having 690 gear score, or like they shouldn't be brought down to the people who are.
Yeah, Johnny.
What did
Oh,
you?
you cheated.
I don't know what that was.
I agree with this because we need more
Yeah.
people to get introduced into the higher
I don't know. I
tier.
just think caps are stupid. I think caps is really dumb. I think it literally like it just makes you feel like you're like, I have 2 accuracy accessories that I never use because every fucking piece of content in the game is capped, or at least 2/3 of the content in the game is capped, which is
I'm
ridiculous.
gonna hop out of here, Johnny. You guys have a good night.
Thank you coming in.
And game PvP content with me sitting at, what the fuck is T3 caps? Hold on. My endgame PvP content is me sitting at 572 total AP and then stacking
Well, we
crit
all know
with
it's like
meme gear.
the main issue with
Like,
the
I
tier
don't know, man.
4s is
It's not
because
it.
it's the days that they're on and the kappa people that are on. That's the issue.
I mean, you guys are just gonna lose like half of your community when you do that. But I mean, I guess if you guys are actually fine with just fighting the same.
Wait, what are you talking about? If they add,
uncap everything, I'm killing my guild, bro. I'm going back to T1.
I'm talking about like, this would obviously come with the caveat if they added like gear sets for fucking players and shit. I don't know, man. I just think, I legitimately think like I don't think people understand the actual difference between being able to run like elixirs every single life in Nodewar and like not just running a giants. Like, it's obscene. It's probably like, it's probably like a 50 gear score difference from the people that are just running a giants.
And remove
also, too,
just
it's like
remove
what new
Elixir's rotation for
players-
more.
I feel like too, like what new players don't like get the insight into is like hard cap players or like players who are at the high tier. They spend billions, hundreds of millions going to high end PvP, right? Like if you want to PvP in this game and you're not running your elixir set or like certain consumables, like you're at the disadvantage and like you're spending money to basically PvP in the game. And like a lot of new players don't understand that, so they hit a certain gear set and then they don't have the money to like keep up with the players who actually like are like spending time and money into that portion of the game.
I don't even think
they're
elixirs are
making
that
Pablo
expensive
farm
that
real
anymore.
hard
It's
for
just
it.
like kind of time consuming.
I mean, yeah, like you can, but I feel like there's the thing is like you can make them all yourself and do it all yourself, or like if you spend money on getting the extra shit that you get from consumables, like you're dumping money into Nodewar Siege. Like it's
For sure. Like, I'm
you're
not
not making
profiting, that's for sure.
Exactly right. Like the money that you make back, even if you win Nodewar Siege, like you're not going to get that money back from everything that you've spent throughout the week or months or whatever. Like getting to that point, like it's a money dump that people don't understand until they get to a point in the game, and then they're like, oh shit, like I didn't understand that I needed to be doing this portion of the game to like be competitive.
My issue being with what you just said, the elixir stuff, is elixirs are literally free to get right now. It's not that fucking difficult. It's not like it was a year ago. Like detections fill in the market pretty consistently. Even then, you can go gather 3 or 4 months worth of detections in an hour. It's.
I mean, even
But
outside,
you're
so
still spending money on it.
so part of the big.
Really, but
I mean, no. You're still, if you buy elixirs, especially if you buy gourds too, you're spending a lot of fucking money every node
Oh, yeah,
war.
gourds do be
Yeah,
expensive.
gourds
Yeah,
be
Who the
expensive.
fuck- who is running
Gourds are-
gourds in
well,
2023, bro?
Elixirs are expensive. Gourds are ridiculous. Is like how it is. But it's a thing with it of. A lot of this argument comes from the basis or thoughts of should people have to play the entire game, right? Because it's a thing of people want to only Nodewar log. They're not going to be able to do that as viably as those who
I
are.
earned my right to Nodewar. No, I'm just kidding. I think, honestly, obviously, they should... I mean, I think that they just should make PvP. Like, I think everything that you do in this game should be a viable form of income. That's like me personally.
I
if
would
you like
agree.
if you like running like trade pack, well, not trade packs. This is an arcade. If you like doing trading, like all day,
Please, trade packs.
If you like doing like trading and shit all day, like I don't know, I'm just trying to fucking think of something. But yeah, if you like AFK running around on horses, like all of it should be viable money. Like I don't know. I think literally anything that you like want to be able to do in this game that is considered a form of content in the game should be a viable way to progress your gear character, however you want to do it. If you want to buy life skill gear, etc. If you just want to enhance like a fucking psychopath in Velia, you know, I think anything that you do should be able to like be a viable form of income in the game. And until like they reach that point, obviously I don't think they should uncap all the nodes, but like when they do eventually hopefully reach the point where it's like I can go into an RBF and make as much money per hour as somebody grinding Gyphins or a comparable amount of money to somebody grinding Gyphins, right? Then I think uncapping all of the nodes.
Grinding should be king at all times.
No. I disagree. So there's. This is why. No. Let me fucking finish. Goddamn miscreant. The reason why PvP should be on scale as much money as PvE is because when you do it correctly, like in Choice's post, it still requires you to have the gear score like you would for PvE. Because if you are able to get comparable things, because in his post, it was like 1.1 bill if you're the #1 RBF player for an hour straight. Do you know how much skill and gear score you fucking need to do that? And even then, it's not guaranteed if there's other people competing for it. If you're making
Johnny, the issue I have with this, the issue I have with PvP making much as PvE is there's no threat to loss. Like I go to Crypt or I go to Thornwood and die. Like I have a clip of it somewhere. I'll have to find it where I lost 6 bill in 28 seconds grinding Crypt because of lag. I mean, there's no threat in PvP to.
You can get that back, by the way, Artie. If you lag, you can get it back. You just email PA.
But I get 2 of those a year.
There is a threat to
It was 3 crystals.
there is a threat to PvP, and it's not necessarily it could be a silver. Actually, it is a silver sync. Hold on, fuck your argument. If you want to be able to compete at that top level, you're gonna have to run elixirs. You might have to run.
Am I not running
gourds.
elixirs grinding Thornwood? Am I not running elixirs grinding?
But here's the thing. If you fail to reach
also,
that
I think
point,
crystals breaking when you die to mobs is really fucking stupid. By the way, I think they should remove that from the game.
I think
that's the dumbest shit ever in the entire world.
If you lose something while you're grinding, you can make that money back. If you lose something in PvP, like there's never enough money in the PvP world at the end of the day to ever make that money back, right? Like the amount
We're talking
of money
about
that
if it's
you
on
sink
on
Elixir's
equal
crystals
standards,
go
though.
up.
We're not talking about.
Me personally though, I do think that losing crystals in PvE is really fucking stupid. I think it discourages players from limit testing grind spots because they're terrified that they're gonna lose crystals and they can only grind centaurs. You know, so like.
I mean, just look how it was during the no crystal break thing. There was people at Olins that didn't need to be at Olins, but they're there testing it. So.
I remember the first time someone lost a gear and they were like, "Holy shit, you can lose this shit."
Yeah,
I lost a Garen, an Ockard, and a Rebellious in one mob death.
So if they remove the crystal change, do you have an argument towards because there's so many fucking votes to change that?
No.
Do you have an argument against PvP being on par with PvE?
No, I think PvP should not be on par currently because of crystal loss, and there's more loss in PvE grinding than there is in PvP.
Okay, but that's like I disagree with that argument. Like honestly, because legitimately you can grind centaurs where there's a 0.000% chance that you're ever gonna lose a crystal and still make more money than you ever will PvPing.
That's what I'm saying. Is you will always.
I mean, I can
always,
make,
always
but you're
make
playing a
more
select
money
class to do
PvP
so.
than
You're not
PvP.
every class can
Like,
do it.
there's
I mean, it's
Wait,
the
what do
same
you
thing
mean?
for.
Every class can like what do you
I
mean?
mean, I
Every
can go
class can
snipe
go to
a stick
regular.
and get one bill
every
in 20 seconds. Does that mean I made that in like an hour? I mean, it's just...
every class in the game can like go to Thornwood, not Dekia Thornwood, regular Thornwood, and make 800 mil an hour. Every class can go to Gyfin,
Yes.
which, let's be real, if you're dying at Gyfin, you're not doing the spot right and you deserve it. Can go to Gyfin and make a bill an hour, or Upper Gyfin and make over a bill an hour. With these new changes, that's going to be like 1.8 bill an hour.
I had a Zerker with Tavalla gear and Boss Exchange gear and like a Narc and a Booger Ring, and I was able to do Upper Gyfin just fine and meet the caps.
Well,
Yeah, it's like, and those are spots that you're literally, there's zero chance that you're ever gonna die there or lose crystals. So like the crystal loss, like I'm sorry, it's just like I don't think it's like relevant. I mean, obviously if you're grinding way
we're
harder.
talking about putting it on par with top end grind spots, which top end right now is 2.5 bill at Thornwood. Like PvP should not be making that, especially in considerable.
Why not?
Why not,
So if crystals,
there's no loss.
No. I'm saying if crystals are removed,
If crystals, I don't care.
Okay.
If crystals aren't there, then I don't care.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
saying
only
currently
arguing that
right
because
now.
of crystals.
Yes.
Okay.
With
then,
crystal loss and the way that you lose money at the threat of your like losing money at Gyfin is so significantly higher than at PvP.
Every time you die in PvP, you lose
They would rework RBF then, or something like that.
Well,
I don't know, man.
so
I think that I honestly, like, I don't know, man. I feel like obviously there's some spots that are like kind of tough